Hi, everyone. Kinsey Schofield here, and I hope you are having the most fun, festive holiday season. As we wrap up 2025, we are looking back at some of my favorite interviews, some of my favorite guests, and I know that you love and enjoy them too. So kick back, relax, and enjoy your Christmas holiday, your Hanukkah, all the things. And I appreciate you and I look forward to seeing you again in 2026. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Maureen Callahan. And on behalf of Los Angeles, California, I'd like to apologize for Meghan Markle. Maureen, you wrote the most incredible piece called Every American I Know is Saying the Same Thing After Disaster Tourist. Meghan delayed her Netflix show to focus on the LA fires. What was your initial instinct when you saw those videos and images coming out of LA of the Duke and Duchess of Misinformation making their way almost 200 miles down to LA? Did it feel like a photo op to you instinctually?
Well, 100%. I mean, it kind of surprised me a little bit, Kinsey, because and I don't believe this was really her decision. I believe this was Netflix's decision, and they allowed her to say it was hers, much as when someone high profile has been fired from a job and they're allowed to say they are leaving to spend more time with their family. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought though that wow, like for once she's listening to people and she's making the right call. Like put a pin in this show while she's, performing in a sort of very Marie Antoinette let them eat cake way from a multi-million dollar mansion in Montecito that's not even hers because God forbid she should film in her own house. Um and I thought, okay, maybe she's going to take, maybe the apocalypse that is happening in Los Angeles right now will be enough for her to take a moment and say, whoa, not only is this not about me, but I should just go hide away for a little while this city burns to the ground and then begins the painful work of recovering. But no, she couldn't do it. She couldn't do it. She couldn't. I swear to God, Kinsey, I don't know what you thought, but when I heard the news that she was pausing the debut of this show, I thought she must be thinking, I can't believe this is happening to me. Not to
Oh,
Los Angeles, not to California, not to America, but to me.
you wrote you kind of broke down her statement, and I want to read you parts of her statement, and I'm going to mention your comments because they are my favorite. I mentioned them last night on TV too. I was like, my friend Maureen Callahan said.
Oh, thank you.
But I also read you Beyonce's statement that she released today, and I'd like your reaction to Megan versus Beyonce, because apparently Beyonce had something dropping today and she chose to hold back on it, but I thought the tones were very different. So Megan says, I'm thankful to my partners at Netflix. And you astutely point out, those are your bosses, Megan, not your peers, for supporting me. And you say, me, in delaying the launch as we focus on the needs of those impacted by the wildfires in my home state of California. You said it was vintage Megan, verbose, vague, meaningless, and thoroughly unnecessary. Now, if you look at the release Beyonce put out today, it says the January 14th announcement will be postponed to a later date due to the devastation caused by the ongoing wildfires around areas of Los Angeles. I continue to pray for healing and rebuilding for the families suffering from trauma and loss. We are so blessed to have brave first responders who continue to work tirelessly to protect the Los Angeles community, to join our, and we encourage people to join our efforts in supporting those impacted. Please visit, and then she gives a website. Maureen, that those are two completely different tones. One is like, I want to say thank God for the people that are doing the hard work. And Megan's is like, I'm doing something tough by postponing my show. Is that what you felt like when you heard those?
No kidding. No kidding. Just the day before we had published, I ran a column, and this sort of goes to a larger problem right now with celebrity culture in general. And we're seeing why Americans increasingly have zero use for these people. Mandy Moore went on Instagram and was pushing a GoFundMe for donations for her brother-in-law. Mandy Moore made reportedly collectively 23 million just from This Is Us alone. And she's telling people to donate so that her brother-in-law can maybe recoup $60,000. And she ends this missive with, oh, by the way, if you don't like it, F off. F
Yeah.
off. She's asking people, she's asking hardworking regular Americans for their own money that they can't afford to give. And then she's telling people who find this offensive to F off. And I just think that people they have had it with this stuff. And, Beyonce, yes, to her credit, did she issue a statement that sort of meets the moment and recognizes that people are suffering and first responders are putting themselves in harm's way? Yes, but that's a low bar. I'm not going to give
Yeah.
Beyonce a gold star for that either.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciated the fact that hers felt like it was shining the light on somebody else, and Megan's was still like, in my home state of California, we don't care. Nobody cares. Like, I think that's the biggest takeaway from your article for me. It was like, nobody cares. Nobody was sitting around going, what's next for Meghan Markle's show, as we were watching the entire state burn down. We were thinking, what's Gavin Newsom been up to, or how's Karen Bass waking up today? Like, we weren't thinking like, what is the status of Meghan Markle's show? And I don't know if you've seen it online, but there have been some members, like some members of Meghan's fan club on Twitter, saying that they were glad for the fires because this was Meghan's moment to shine. Like, I'm like, do you
Wait,
realize
explain
that
that
these
to me.
when
I don't understand it.
Oh, I'm going to read you the exact tweet, but I guess they think that Meghan is getting some positive press right now. So that is, I guess that's their justification. So the exact post is, it's from Nosy 2015, 4 exclamation points. I'm happy for Meghan that the wildfires has sadly happened. For me, I believe it will work in Meghan's favor moving forward. Smiley face emoji.
I don't know. Is that person part of Meghan Markle's paid team? It makes no sense. It's a sick, disgusting, evil thought. Nothing can help Meghan. Nothing can help Meghan Markle. And it makes me wonder if Netflix actually took this moment after they didn't disable the comments on their own site, right? Like, they are about 140,000 negative comments to maybe 60,000, 40,000 positive comments. Like, they know this is a turkey. They've got to unload it. This is coming on the heels of Polo, which was an epic belly flop. I think they can't wait to divest themselves of these two, especially given that tone deaf statement Meghan put out, as if she's running Netflix. I think Ted Sarandos would beg to differ.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I couldn't believe she used the word partners. It's like, you're not on their level, Meghan. You were a deal or no deal girl. You were cast on Suits. They were writing you out of Suits when you met Prince Harry. Where were you going to go? There were no offers on the table. Stop pretending like you're in their league. You married up. Thank God. Thank God that you married up. Do you feel like uh I don't know how it is on the East Coast, but on the East Coast, where's Justine Bateman? Justine Bateman's located here. She, I think, represents the tone here, which is disaster tourists. Like, again, having to get in a car and travel nearly 200 miles to do this tour. Meghan's friends and whatever can say she's not a tourist, she's from California, but that's quite the trek and waste of government resources. For Harry and Meghan to come down. What's the tone on the East Coast? How did you react? How is the media reacting over there? Is it fawning over Harry and Meghan showing up someplace and I don't know, just their presence?
No, actually, here's Meghan. I'll give Meghan Markle one accomplishment. She has united Americans of every stripe in complete and utter loathing and disgust at her and her husband's actions, their insertions of themselves needlessly into this whole scale human carnage and tragedy. What you just said is absolutely right. Imagine there are parts of Los Angeles that even residents can't get into to see if their homes are still standing. Yet these
Mhm.
two think that roads should be blocked off for them so they can travel south to LA with a camera crew so they can get footage of Meghan and Harry walking around with their concern faces on. You know, the reports I've read have said they stayed for 17 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I've heard it's a mix between 17 or 45 minutes, but even so, still what a waste of resources for such a short period of time. This is a guy that's suing his own country because he wants additional security, but he's going to pack up his entourage and exhaust an already exhausted situation by with their presence. uh, and you're right, it's not just to, first of all, how many, over 60 people have been arrested for looting.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that these are really kind of chaotic areas where people can't get into to see if their possessions still exist. They've got these looters dressing as firemen and policemen combing through these homes, and people can't get back to see if their animals are alive. Like, can you imagine not knowing if your animal was okay and then saying you can't go through this blockade? Like, I would absolutely lose it. And there are Harry and Meghan walking hand in hand. That to me, and some of the people that contacted me that day, was one of the most vulgar elements, is that they're like walking hand in hand through it. It's like, can you guys take a break? We don't, we know that there's a lot of rumors that your marriage is falling apart, but this is not the time to try to switch the tone.
Sauntering around like it's just a regular Sunday afternoon at the Brentwood Farmers Market in their LA baseball caps, and Meghan in her sort of rumpled, oversized work shirt with the sleeves rolled up. I mean, stop it. It's disgusting. You're using these people as props. You're using this devastation as your latest Hollywood backdrop for your attempt to relaunch yourself like 11.0. Nobody wants the rebooted Meghan. Nobody wants the rebooted Harry. Go away.
Yeah, no. So just to your point, it was Justine Bateman that tweeted, Meghan Markle and Harry are no better than ambulance chasers. What a repulsive photo op they achieved. They are touring the damage, question mark. Are they politicians now? They don't live here. They are tourist disaster tourists. And according to page 6, someone close to Harry and Meghan responds, it's offensive to Meghan and Harry that anybody would think this is merely a photo opportunity. Well, they had to know that this was coming. Meghan was born and raised in Los Angeles, so this is and always will be home to her. Um, Her heart is completely broken for all the lives that have been lost and for those whose homes have been destroyed in these fires. Harry and Meghan invested significant time and resources. They have donated money and essential items. They also dedicated countless hours to volunteering long before the media even caught wind of their involvement. Well, that's fine.
Oh,
Continue to
really?
volunteer behind the scenes. But you chose to show up where there were cameras. That was
I don't
intentional.
believe
You
it,
can say,
Kinsey. I don't believe
yeah,
it. I don't believe they were
yeah.
quietly volunteering behind the scenes. Meghan Markle is the human embodiment of if a tree falls. If there is not a camera crew to catch her doing some sort of benevolent act, which is ultimately self serving, see her needless trip to Uvalde, inserting herself into a tragedy that saw the carnage of little children in one of the worst school shootings in American history. She is vile. So I don't believe for a second there's some sort of behind the scenes, quiet charity work or volunteering going on. It doesn't matter to her unless there's a camera crew. And let me say this, in New York City after September 11th, Steve Buscemi, who is a former firefighter for the city of New York, very quietly went down to his old firehouse and reported for duty and worked on that pile for days. And he did not send out a press release. So she can go F off.
God, I forgot about that. You're absolutely right. I mean, that was incredible work that he did. I'm glad you brought that up. I did think it was funny, though, that page 6 says reps for the Sussexes did not immediately respond to page 6 request for comment, because I'm like, didn't they? Wasn't that all that I just read? Well, you can say that was a source close to the Sussex all you want, but that sounded a lot like the tone the Sussexes would take. It's offensive to Meghan and Harry that anybody would think this is merely a photo opportunity. I think a lot of us look at it and see it for exactly what it is. Two people desperate to turn around some really bad press. And, you've been terrors for 4 years, almost 5 years. You've already established yourself and you don't go away. So there's no time for anybody to forget about your behavior over the last 4 years. You listed their behavior in that article that you wrote on the Daily Mail. You listed how their timing always seems to happen when there's hurt going on for someone else, whether it's Prince Philip in the hospital, a month from passing away and they're sitting down with Oprah, whatever it is, it just feels like they are always so self-consumed and not thinking about anybody else. And we've accepted that. It's been going on for so long. We've accepted it. There's no shifting the tone, no matter what emergency they show up to and pretend that they're all in.
So I want to address both parts of what you just said. The first being the press release or the statement that came out of the Sussex camp, but didn't come out of the Sussex camp, that they are very offended by what Justine Bateman had to say. How about, again, if they only had stayed with Buckingham Palace and people who know what they're doing? How about if this is truly not about you? If it's truly not about you, these wildfires that are apocalyptic, how about you keep your mouth shut? Someone calls you disaster tourists, let them. Who cares? If you are really that much more high-minded and your thoughts and concerns are really with the true victims of this tragedy, then you would just let that roll off your back. Cannot happen. Now we're in the news cycle. Got to keep, terrible metaphor, but very apt, fanning those flames, right? Because those are the only ones that matter to Meghan Markle. Secondly, in the column I did that you just referenced, I sort of laid out the dates of these, horrific events befalling the royal family, whether it was a senior royal on their deathbed, Prince Philip, Queen Elizabeth quietly battling bone cancer, which is extremely painful. Kate Middleton's abdominal surgery, which led to her announcement that she had cancer, which shocked. I mean, that was like breaking news, even in the United States, like live network TV broke in for her video, to Charles announcing that he had cancer and was also undergoing treatment. They not only didn't pause any of their ridiculous projects, announcements, what have you, whether it was Oprah, whether it was Spare, whether it was that Netflix show, they allowed them to continue. And I actually think that they have such dark energy, that they are so full of resentment and rage that they enjoyed this timing, which for them was, I think they would have considered it serendipitous timing, whereas most decent people would have said, we're going to pause on the Oprah interview because Prince Philip is on his deathbed. We're going to push back the release of Spare because the Queen has just died. We're going to push back the release of the Harry and Meghan Netflix spectacle because the Queen has just died, instead of allowing Meghan to go on the world's biggest global streamer and mock the Queen, mock her curtsy to the Queen, compare the British royal family to medieval times. They enjoy this, I believe. I think they get a very sick, disgusting pleasure out of it. And that's why I think the cookery and the crockery is flying in Montecito right now, because her show, which is supposed to, in her mind, make her a huge star and make everybody finally love her, has been canceled. And this is, again, a tragedy that is happening to her.
I just, to your point of what you said about them not budging when it comes to the horrors happening over in the UK, I just want to throw back to March 5th, 2021. The headline for the Metro in the UK is Meghan won't postpone Oprah interview as it, quote, has nothing to do with Prince Philip. Like that that is it. I mean, that's them in a nutshell, right? And I thought you were going to say, and maybe you were hinting at it, but I thought you were going to say they saw this as an opportunity. I mean, what we saw last weekend was a PR opportunity for them because Meghan felt like she had this show on the horizon, and perhaps that positive press might lean into the show. Do you think that that was ever on her mind? Do you think she was ever conscious of that? Or do you think I'm being too cynical that she thought, hey, this is an opportunity to get good press for my show that's coming out in a few days?
I don't think she's that smart. I think people think she's smarter than she is. I don't think it was that
I,
difficult for her to hook a beta male royal whose entire peer group of aristocrats and posh ladies wanted nothing to do with him. You know, he was getting a little long in the tooth for a British royal to be unmarried without children. I think that that first thing you said with her issuing that statement about the Oprah sit down having nothing to do with Prince Philip, that is Meghan Markle in a nutshell, which is attempting to elevate herself by bringing people far above her station down to her level. You're kidding me. Are you for real? The Oprah interview had nothing to do with Prince Philip. Honey, you're not sitting down with Oprah Winfrey unless you are now a newly minted member of the British royal family. So it has everything to do with Prince Philip. And you're about to announce to the world, heavily imply, I should say, that senior members of the British royal family were racist, that senior members of the British royal family refused to allow you mental help while you were having suicidal ideations. I mean, who believes that? So she's going to say that one has nothing to do with the other. That is beyond cynical. Why would you worry about being cynical, Kinsey? We're talking about the most cynical woman on the planet. Secondly, I don't think she can't play chess. She can only play checkers. Remember, the morning that LA began burning, she released that ridiculous video of herself frolicking on the beach in black and white, writing
yeah,
2025 in the sand like she's a 12-year-old.
yeah,
That's Meghan. She only cares
yeah.
about what's in her immediate vicinity and what affects her.
I just want to say too really quickly for those that don't know, they do believe that the Pacific Palisades fire started on January 1st and that firefighters thought they put it out, but they do believe that there's an investigation currently happening, but they do believe that it's the same space that firefighters tried to put out on January 1st that led to the big fire that we see today. So for anybody wondering, I just wanted to clarify that. So that is what Maureen is referencing. So this will air on Wednesday, but on Tuesday, which is today for us, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, visited the Royal Marsden Hospital in West London because she wanted to personally thank staff for their care and compassion, confirming to us that this is where she went to undergo her cancer treatment and her chemo. You know, she sat down with a woman having chemo and said, all I can tell you is that people told me to continue to have a positive mindset, and it makes the biggest difference. She said, I'm sorry to somebody. I wish there was more that I could do to help you. That was what she told one of the women that was there receiving treatment. You know, she said, are you okay, to someone? And she said, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Best of luck. You are in the best hands. It is it because she experienced this that we know she's so sincere, and we're moved by this. This is what Meghan's trying to emulate, without a doubt. This is what Meghan is trying to copy, but one comes off as completely authentic, believable, and sincere, and the other absolutely does not.
Right. And I think the main problem with Meghan is, aside from what I perceive, and many do, to be her rabid jealousy of Catherine, is you cannot fake authenticity. You can't fake it.
Mm,
And people can sense inauthenticity. They can sense a fake. They can sense a phony. And Meghan's proven herself over and over again to be the latter. I think everyone knew Kate was the real deal when she announced her diagnosis, which she was forced to do because of various missteps and conspiracy theories swirling around. So I think the world already felt sympathy for her having to come forward so publicly with this traumatic diagnosis. But when she made that announcement, she was sure to end it by addressing her fellow travelers. She addressed everyone else who is suffering through a cancer diagnosis or chemotherapy. And she was sure to say, "You are not alone."
I'm not trying to be insensitive, but Meghan, when she lost a baby, she wrote an op-ed about it, and we left her alone. We left her alone. You know, she says that we harass her and that they want their privacy, but and it was a lot of Meghan's fan base that were terrorizing the Princess of Wales, saying that she was getting a Brazilian butt lift or that her husband was a murderer. I mean, a lot of the conspiracy theories were coming from Meghan's fan base. But when Meghan lost a child and wrote about it in the New York Times, we stepped back and we left her alone. We left her alone to grieve, to deal. We it was a blimp. She's the one that presented it, and we did not. We barely discussed it, and we wanted her to deal with that however she wanted to deal with that. I feel like Catherine has been treated completely different. Catherine, not only has Catherine been very compassionate about people that have lost babies, that's one of the things that that's one of her campaigns that she works on with the early years projects. But, despite knowing Catherine had cancer, people were still harassing her online and still demanding to see her. I do feel like we've treated both women completely differently. And I feel like in the midst of pain and suffering, both women have handled things so differently.
It's interesting you brought up that New York Times op-ed Meghan wrote about her miscarriage. I had forgotten about that. But here's the thing, you can't scream, "I want privacy, I want privacy, I want privacy," and use the op-ed pages of the New York Times, which frankly should be devoted to more substantial world events than Meghan Markle's miscarriage. Announce it in the pages of the New York Times and then say, "Leave me alone. I want privacy. I want the things I consider sacred to be held sacred." And let's not forget, she's married to a guy who sold out such secrets as his penis was frozen while he stood at the altar during William and Kate's wedding. And he
And
used
other
mummy's
people's and
face
other people's
cream to
secrets,
stab
like
it. I
Kate.
mean, come on, you can't ask for
Yeah.
privacy and divulge this kind of stuff. It's one or the other.
Before I let you go, I want to ask you about Harry and Meghan challenging Meta. They've been criticizing Meta for abandoning fact checking. I listened to Mark Zuckerberg talk about it on Rogan. It made sense to me. He was like, you know what? We hire multiple third parties to take care of this stuff. I can't control it. And I've realized that, analytically, I can see that some of these people are biased, and you could see that they fact check more of one party than the other. And he was like, "I just can't control it. It doesn't make sense to me anymore. And I don't want to deal with the hassle of feeling like we're not being fair to everybody. Let do your own research. If you see something that doesn't sit well with you, find multiple sources." It made sense to me why he said he was throwing it out the door. But Harry and Meghan complaining, saying contrary to the company's talking points, they're allowing more abuse and normalizing hate speech. They say that it's silencing speech and expression, not to foster these old rules that they had. They said in an already confusing and in many instances intentionally disruptive information environment, Meta has shown their words and commitments have very little meaning and integrity. There was some sort of reference to felt like they were throwing shade at Zuckerberg for like changing his tone or his attitude solely based on the upcoming administration. That's kind of what it sounded like in one of the lines that they referenced. This is another situation similar to this story where you wrote, where I'm like, sit down, no one cares. We don't care what you say we don't care how you feel about Meta. That's the same company you claimed you were working with a few weeks ago to work on anti-bullying campaigns. Apparently that relationship has been severed.
Listen, I have my own thoughts about Zuckerberg's about face and his claiming that he was a victim of the prior administration, what have you. But the real question and what you're talking about is why are these two opining on this? Okay. They are not thought leaders. They are not titans of Silicon Valley. They are not elected officials. They have no role in public life as per their own oft stated wishes. Harry is the guy who landed in America and said, I don't understand the First Amendment. Okay,
Yeah.
be quiet. But you know what? This is the one upshot, I think, and I love this for Meghan. Keep making enemies in Silicon Valley. Make an enemy of Ted Sarandos. Make an enemy of Mark Zuckerberg. Hit up Elon Musk next. Keep going.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because um, to me, that it would make a much bigger impact if Meghan hadn't just joined Instagram, but she wants that attention. She's on Instagram because she wants the likes. She wants stories about how many Instagram followers she's collected. She wants stories about the content that she's uploading. By the way, no resources on how to help the LA fire victims, but we've got a montage of Guy and the beach video and the trailer for the Netflix series. Um, wouldn't it make such a bigger impact for you if she said, this is such an about face and I'm so disappointed that I'm going to go ahead and deactivate my account?
Well, that'll never happen. I mean, you're asking for logic. And frankly, Kinsey, they gave at the office. They showed up for between 17 and 45 minutes the other day. What more do you want from them? You want them to be like
Yeah.
Jennifer Garner, like ladling soup out to poor people? No, that's not going to happen.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I thought that you were the first person on my mind when I saw all of that going down. And if you haven't bought Maureen's book, it's Ask Not the Kennedys and the Women They Destroyed. And it is so juicy. My favorite book. Maureen Callahan, host of The Nerve with Maureen Callahan. And if you are watching me today here, hopefully you've already watched us on The Nerve. We discussed the Met Gala. What? Here's a tease. How incredibly disappointing was that?
Oh my God. Kinsey, we're going to go on for like, I could talk to you for hours about it, but we are having a very highly thought out, we're strategically deploying our weaponry. Like we are a SEAL Team 6. Excuse my French.
I have to tell you that as I was making notes for The Nerve, I was in frownies, which are those things that you paste over your forehead so that your the cast, so your forehead can't move in your sleep, and a One Direction 2012 concert T-shirt. So as I was like writing my snarky commentary in my notes app on my phone, I did feel like a jerk.
Really? Can I confess something to you with your frownies
Yeah.
share? Years and years and years ago, I'm going to say when I was a teenager, I trained myself to rarely elevate my eyebrows so that I won't get wrinkles on my forehead.
Oh, you're an icon. I wish I would have ever had that
I'm
thought.
insane. I'm insane.
I wish I would have ever had that thought, but I'm like Miss Wide-eyed, bug-eyed, like very animated. So as soon as stop doing TV for the day, I slap those things on. I'm like, no more expressions. All right. Oh, well, let's talk about Meghan Markle's new podcast episode. I know you've been waiting with bated breath about who her celebrity guests, who her A-list big guest she's going to get on this week's Confessions of a Female Founder. And will you be shocked to know that it's Clever Brands co-founder Hannah Mendoza, Clever Brands, Meghan Markle's first investment that we really found out about because she sent a basket to Oprah Winfrey. Oprah actually announced it because she's like, look what Meghan sent me. And we realized that Meghan was somehow financially attached. She also is attached to Highbrow Hippie, who was her last guest. I'm just like, this pyramid of Meghan promoting things she's investing in, click the affiliate link to the thing I'm invested in. She just is, to me, it's just like a breeding ground for greed.
This is so interesting. Okay, number one, I've never heard of the woman that you just mentioned. I've never heard of the Clever company, which you've just mentioned. Ironic name. Meghan is anything but clever. And, to your note about like investing financially in these companies, this is also Meghan just buying friends. She's
Yeah.
just buying friends. I would bet she slipped Gwyneth a couple of mil, to get that little Instagram hit the other week.
I've actually thought about this. I think that that was a really nice thing of Gwyneth Paltrow to do, who also had just said in, I think, Vanity Fair or one of the big fashion magazines that she had no issue with Meghan Markle. I barely know her. She was like, I don't know her.
But that's
Um,
a shiv, Kinsey. That's a
well,
shiv.
I thought that like it was her being nice was like the doing the Instagram thing, but I don't think that she would risk because she's been doing podcasts. She just did Aaron Foster's podcast.
Mhm.
So Gwyneth is doing other people's podcasts, but I don't think she'd risk doing Megan's because I don't think she wants all the negative backlash that would come from doing Megan's. I think she recognizes that she is a toxic character. The Instagram moment was so brief. It was kind of trolling the media, but it was, and she didn't put it on I don't think she put it on her feed. I think it was a story, right? It
I
was an
think you're right.
Instagram.
So it vanished.
Yeah, so it vanished. People couldn't reply. That was a very controlled PR stunt. I don't think she would do something that would sear her to Meghan Markle in any way, shape, or form, like an hour-long podcast episode.
Oh, never, never, never. You can say many things about Gwyneth Paltrow, but one thing you cannot say is that she's not bright.
Yeah.
She has a native intelligence and she knows what she's doing. And I think it was brilliant on her part to do this kind of Instagram troll, to have it be like Meghan had no lines, kept her mouth shut. The best version of Meghan Markle that we could possibly hope for, keep your mouth shut. And that was it. And then it vanished. And, Gwyneth, I believe also last summer, there was that big female founders summit in the
Mhm.
Hamptons.
Mhm.
And Gwyneth was sure not to take a photo with Meghan, which Meghan was gagging for.
Yes.
Gagging.
Yes. As she sat next to Jamie Kern Lima as they plotted their big two for podcast a year ago. Oh, wow. How
Was it
exciting.
you who told me this, or somebody who said, like, so first of all, Jamie Kern Lima does not have that many subscribers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She's got like maybe 66, and she's been pounding this drum with the likes of, her super famous neighbors like Oprah
Yeah.
and whoever else has done her show, like Hoda Kotb,
Hoda.
people who
Yeah.
traffic in this garbage, like, oh, we're self-actualizing. And like, I think Hoda's literally like, when I connect with Jamie Lynn, it's like she's helping me enter another realm of the cosmos. Like, take me out back and shoot me. Okay. Just end my agony now. So she's got like 66K subscribers, something like that. But someone told me that in the wake of the Meghan Markle interview, like she's been shedding eyeballs and like people are like unfollowing, they are unsubscribing. And this really, people say like humanity's like, circle. This gives me hope.
Yeah. I believe that because I think that I saw a lot of the comments where I'm disappointed in you. It just is it totally contradicts this world that they like with Mel. I've heard you talk about Mel too. Let them. It contradicts their whole vibe. Their whole vibe is, I'm going to get through it. Let's just push through it. And Meghan Markle and Harry's vibe is, I'm going to stew in it. I'm going to do an interview with the BBC and talk about a decision I made in 2020. So it just, to listen to it, it's like Meghan's trying to pretend like she's caught up with all of these vibe chasers. And Harry goes and contradicts it with that interview. But before we move on to Harry, I did grab some quotes. First of all, just to give you an update, because I know it's killing you, we did get some details about Meghan Markle's pregnancy with Archie and Lily, her diet while she was pregnant with them. So I know you're thrilled about that.
Mm.
We can't live without details about Meghan Markle's health and what she did to improve her health while knocked up. But she said to Hannah, some days are going to be harder to show up as your best and shiniest self. To which I would ask you, do you think this is the bully admission? That some days I'm not my shiniest self, some days I'm a jerk.
Ooh, I like that theory. I like that
You
theory.
know
Oh,
that that's not
and
what she was saying.
no, I like that theory. And also layered into that is like, how can you blame a pregnant woman whose hormones are running riot if I lost my temper and I wasn't like my best self?
Well, the
she's,
the pregnancy thing is coming out of the idea that since you have not heard of Clever Brands, and I envy it, it's mushroom based. It's like mushroom coffee. So she's talking about how when she was pregnant, there was a lot of mushroom stuff that went into her diet for her health. I don't know. And she's saying it's not just hippie stuff. And they're trying to justify the existence of this coffee. But she's talking about leadership here. This is unrelated to being knocked up twice. This is about how some you have to show up. Your employees don't deserve that. And the reality is, it's Meghan trying, in classic Meghan form, trying to tear down the bully headlines by going off on this tangent about how even on your worst days you have to show up for your employees. And you and I both know that's
well, Kinsey, okay, so if you are running anything, be it a household and by the way, like, who is this podcast really for? How many women out there are like, I'm going to befriend some billionaires, buy my way into their social circles, maybe marry a beta royal, and found my own businesses? Like, I was thinking about this yesterday, like Confessions of a Female Founder. And as she's explaining the premise of the show, I'm like, who gives a flying F? Like, how many people are out there with the resources and the time and everything you need to found a company? Like the amount of things that compete for our limited free time and attention, that is not on my list.
yeah.
It's not even as a hate listen. And then she to traffic in the most basic bits of factual data that she presents as eureka moments unique to her, right? Megan's IP, her intellectual property. When you're running something, you got to show up for your employees. You don't say.
Well, listen to this because this is just annoying to me. From Netflix coming on as her business partner to her first round of products quickly selling out, Markle called these moments proof points. She explained, that told me that customers, people, believed in me and this vision. That's all you really want as a founder. Please, please react to that. P.S. I meant to look to see if any of her stuff was on eBay. So react to that while I do that
Oh,
live.
okay, great. She'll soon be selling her underwear on Poshmark, I'm sure. Okay, so proof points. This is a new piece of corporate jargon, garbage language I've never heard of.
Yeah.
And I love it when these like newfound entrepreneurs who didn't go to business school or, whatever, work in corporate America start throwing around these words that like fintech bros use, because like they're trying to prove they're smart.
She keeps saying
Um,
skews. Have you noticed how she keeps saying skews in
oh, she
interviews?
loves skews. Defy her to spell skew. Because if you've worked retail, you know exactly how that's spelled, as I did as a teenager. I know exactly what a skew is. I think she just discovered what a skew is. Because I think, were you and I discussing this? Like somebody was saying to me that Meghan Markle doesn't buy those expensive clothes that she's always packed in. Like that $995 Max Mara coat that she wears in the incorrect season,
Yeah.
wool cashmere blend, and she wears it in like spring, summer in Montecito. She's being loaned that. And that's why she walks around in it in the incorrect weather, because that's her only moment to get papped in it and prove what an avatar, an ambassador of quiet luxury she is. When, I live in a nice part of Long Island, and when I see a guy get out of like a vintage car, it could be a classic restored to perfection, it could be a beater, and he's got like hair past his shoulders and he's in like ripped cutoffs and like a grubby t-shirt. I always go, that guy's probably a billionaire.
Oh, 100%. I see those guys at Starbucks at 11:30 a.m. here in LA. I'm like, that guy has a lot of money. He looks disheveled and he's wealthy.
That's the flex. That's the flex. But Megan doesn't understand the nonverbal communications of the cohort to which she is dying to be, embraced by. Hence all these epic fails. Hence the like cooking in the kitchen that's not her kitchen. I don't think she didn't want to shoot the Netflix show in her kitchen because it's so sacred and private that she couldn't bear to have a Netflix crew in there. I think it's because if you look at the trailer she dropped last year, right around the time Princess Catherine had to announce her cancer, it's a very dated kitchen. I mean, it screams 1990s beige upon taupe upon ivory upon, that kind of marble that like feels like almost like a cross between Mexican, French, country farm. It's like very dated. It's a gut job.
Dude,
And I think her ego couldn't take it.
somebody said that it looked like an Olive Garden.
Perfection. Perfection.
I love Olive Garden, but I
Hey, no slam against Olive Garden, but that's not what Ms. Markle is going for. Sorry, Miss Sussex, the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Sussex.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, so I just think when you ask who is this podcast for, that last line where she's gloating. By the way, no, as ever on eBay, which to me is always like the test. If people aren't throwing your stuff on eBay and jacking it up, how was it really that successful?
Kinsey, before, can I just say, do you remember like 6, 8, 9 months ago, the item to get that was going on eBay for hundreds of dollars was the Trader Joe's tote bag.
Yes.
50 cents to make landed. Okay, I'm going to
Right.
talk Shark Tank language, right? Because I'm an
Right.
entrepreneur now, like Meghan. Uh, that was like a must-have item. You're so right. Like, not a bit of packaging is floating around eBay. It is not wanted.
Right. I mean, I'm not going to admit that I bought the Olivia Rodrigo. What are those damn Stanley Cups? Okay. I don't want to talk about what I paid for the Olivia Rodrigo Stanley Cup, but yes,
I
yes,
love
to our
Olivia
point.
Rodrigo.
I do too. She's such a little badass. So yes, that's interesting that not even the packaging that she talks about that kept her up at night, that haunted her in her sleep. This podcast is for her. It's just for her to gloat and to try to rebrand herself for the 6,000th time. Um, can we please talk about this story? We talked about it with Pierce for a few minutes. He really felt like that picture of Meghan that Meghan posted, terribly pixelated, black and white filter of Lily on Harry's shoulders and Archie holding his hand, walking off into the garden, was this middle finger to the royal family. What is your reaction to that? It's sometimes I'm just like, could you just sit this one out? You were totally quiet during the Senabale chaos, but when it comes to the royal family, you've got to stick your stupid freaking nose in it.
Of course she does. Again, I think she should launch a podcast and I've always said she should just lean into being a bitch.
Yeah.
I think she should launch a podcast about how to successfully sever all familial ties and keep them that way. So that even when your husband is longing to, and this BBC interview is like the mind F of all mind Fs, but when your husband is longing to reconcile with his father who has cancer and whose prognosis is, in question, um, be sure to lob a nonverbal message on Instagram by showing your husband walking away back to the camera with these two small children of yours, grandchildren that the king has zero relationship with. He's in the fight of his life. What better time to lob an F you,
Yeah.
And then she wonders why, like, her ventures fail.
Yeah.
People don't like you. People are coming to loathe you with great reason.
Yeah, it's to me it was so unnecessary because she hasn't stood up for him in some of I'm telling you the Senabali thing was devastating for him because this woman, they couldn't argue it. But Dr. Sophie Shandaka, her resume, her the reputation she has, he just could not dismiss her claims in the way that they have dismissed other people's claims. And I think that that's why the way or that's one of the reasons why they were so quiet. So to see her insert herself in this when she's not speaking to her own father, she's done the exact same thing to her own father, cut him off. I want to say, Meghan, like this is why they didn't want you by the Queen's bedside when she was passing away. This is why they didn't want you. You insert yourself where you don't belong. And there's this real argument about how Meghan Markle, it's wrong for us to say Meghan Markle doesn't know her place, but she bulldozed her way in there. Catherine dated Prince William on and off for a decade and gently she earned their trust. And Meghan just sharp elbows and all, was like, you're going to respect me. Remember, before she was even engaged to Prince Harry, she told one of his employees, I'm probably going to be your boss one day. I mean, this is why they just can't stand her. It's common sense to me. I don't understand why the word assertive is too gentle of a word to use when it comes to her behavior towards this family.
So, okay, I have many thoughts on this, but to circle back for 1 second to Dr. Sophie Chandaka and how Meghan and Harry were rendered mute because of her education, her reputation. Don't forget pigmentation.
Yeah,
So
very
now
true.
there's a lot of rage that has no place to go. So they have to find a place to put it because they're always trying to like sort of exercise their rage, which is an ever renewing supply. So
Hmm.
what better place than King Charles, right? Now, the thing that to me, in my estimation, moves Meghan from a malcontent to a disruptor to what I perceive as evil. Like I'm just gonna say it. I think she's evil. And I think Harry's, he's tied his yoke to this one. And so he's allowing it or he's participating. So he gets that branding as well, in my estimation, just my opinion. When Prince Philip, a 99-year-old Prince Philip, was on his deathbed, what did they do? Oprah racism claims. When Queen Elizabeth was dying of bone cancer, like an agonizing way to go. And she's still showing up every day doing her job. She was photographed with the new prime minister like a day or two before she died.
Yeah.
What did these two do? Harry announces he's publishing a tell-all memoir and Meghan gives as I just columned on this for the Mail. She gives a rage-filled interview to The Cut in
Yeah.
which she says she's going to do what she wants and
She
nobody can
didn't sign
shut
an
her up.
NDA. She didn't sign an NDA.
Yeah, so guess what, you guys? You have no idea what I'm going to pull out of my pocket next. Now that King Charles is in the fight of his life, what are they doing? They're doing it all over again. They're
Hmm.
making the remaining days of someone who has spent their life in public service and who asks for one thing in return, and that is a modicum of personal privacy. Not happening.
No, no. And Harry says in that BBC interview that he's lived a life, 35 years of service. You're 40 years old. Like, what were you? You're what math did they teach you at Eton? And then says he continues to live a life of service. And I'm like, you wrote a book about your frozen wiener. Like, that
Mhm.
is not how I would define a life of service. In this Rebecca English piece in the Daily Mail, where they talk about the courtier saying that that picture was an FU, I love this quote. For Meghan, the loss of status, they're saying this is what this is all about. The
Mhm.
loss of status is a much more significant issue, another remarks, probably because it is so very much tied up in her money making schemes. So the alternative is Prince Harry is utterly obsessed with the idea of airing his truth. But for Meghan, it's about status. I think it's about status for a little bit for the both of them too, because Prince Harry wants what his brother has.
So the thing I loved about the BBC interview and something that I think we are both of like minds is I watched the whole thing and he basically is saying, okay, there's the king, and then there's my brother, the Prince of Wales, who is going to become the king, and then there's me. And I'm just going to tell you that of everyone, I am the most under threat, right? I'm the one people want dead. So I win, okay? I'm the one people want dead. Think of the way one has to like the perversity of that.
Mm.
Like, hey, everybody, I'm target number one. And then he goes on to say, he walks right up to saying, he doesn't actually say it, but it's very clear what he's implying, that the royal family, just as they did with Diana, wants him dead.
Yeah,
They want him dead,
allegedly with Diana.
allegedly, but he's walking up to this. This is the heavy implication,
Yes,
right?
yes,
That
yes.
allegedly the royal family killed his mother. Allegedly, they want grave harm to come to him, to his wife, and his small children. So, to which I ask, sir, then why do you want back in so badly?
Yeah,
Either they're trying to
Yeah, because
You know,
Maureen,
or
don't
they're
forget.
dying to have you back, which it can't be both.
Yeah, don't forget, he told the court a few weeks ago that the reason that him and Meghan stepped down as working members of the British royal family was because their security was ineffective. And now you're fighting like hell for this same ineffective security. It doesn't make any sense. Of course, in the BBC interview, he says they were rejected, and his story changes yet again. He says they were rejected by the British royal family, and that they, but he during the court case was like, well, actually, we're no longer working members because the security was ineffective. To your point, so this in this Daily Mail article, this is something I hadn't seen before. Of the Sandringham summit in January 2020, Harry had already privately acknowledged that he would lose his taxpayer funded Metropolitan Police bodyguards. By that point, he was apparently already negotiating with his family about who would pay for a new team of private, largely ex Met Police security guards answer Prince Charles for at least a year while his son and daughter in law found their feet financially. Harry's never told us that his dad was gracious enough to foot the bill for their security for their first year. He's never said that. Then suddenly he turns and cries wolf with Ravik, says one with knowledge of the proceedings. So I I just think that was very generous of the royal family to say, you've quit your job, but we'll pay for you for a year until you figure out what's going to happen next. Harry has always just made it sound like they abandoned him. And I wonder if he's resentful because the second they did leave, we all go into lockdown and security probably isn't as expensive as it would have been had Meghan been going to Broadway shows with her four-car motorcades back in 2020. But isn't it amazing to you how he leaves out important details like that? Like my dad paid for my security for the first year while I was trying to figure stuff out. And behind his back, signing Netflix contracts and Penguin Random House contracts where I was going to totally try to destroy his legacy.
Great point. Now, to Harry's assertions in this BBC interview, and I believe that Harry is one of those people that can only, like, he's happiest in a place, like his nest is full of grievance
Yeah.
and victimhood and martyrdom and rage. Like, there are some people who just will never allow themselves to be happy. They don't want it. They don't know how to be
But
happy.
how did Meghan help him find that place? Because Maureen, he wasn't that person 10 years ago. He was the guy that he was the crazy. He's in Vegas right now. One of my favorite Harry Vegas stories. He's nude and rude around a pool table. You know what I mean? Like
100.
where Meghan helped him get into it's my opinion that
Yeah.
somehow Meghan has led him to this place.
Oh, no question. Okay, so just to go back to the security thing, like here's the real truth of it is Harry, Meghan, their family, they can have taxpayer funded security when they go to the UK. They just have to give enough notice, which apparently is too much of a heavy lift. But this one, by which I mean Meghan, wants us to believe she can found multiple companies pretty much on her own, but they cannot shoot a text or pick up the phone or send an email saying, on date certain we are coming, may we please have. And may we please have, I do not believe, is in her lexicon either.
Yeah.
I think she burrowed in, we all know the apocryphal story. Is it true? Is it not? But it rings true that on their first date, Meghan wore Diana's favorite perfume, which is something only a really conniving woman would do, right? It's a pheromone, it's a sense memory. It's going to evoke in her mind a connection. This is my mother. My mother is sending me a message that this might be the one. And I think she knew her way in was to successfully insert a wedge and separate him. William doesn't appreciate him. Catherine is mean to her and makes her cry. King Charles walks her down the aisle halfway. They fast tracked her in, and yet I think she positioned herself. This is what I really think. Damsel in distress, Diana 2.0. Harry, you are the only one who can rescue me. You're the only one who can save me. From what dangers lurk? Oh, it's your own family. So this ignites in him the complex he had, the Electra complex he has with his mother, right? Like, I couldn't save mommy, but I can save Meghan.
That makes me want to puke in my mouth.
I know.
Maybe she wore Elizabeth Arden cream. Maybe that's what she was wearing at
on her
Soho House
nether
that night.
regions
Yeah.
where it counts, right?
Well, do you have, before I let you go, do you have any more reaction to the BBC interview? I think I would say to you, my biggest reaction was it was such it contradicts everything Meghan has worked so hard to convince us of over the last few months. She just told Jamie Kern-Lima that they're in their honeymoon period. That man looked miserable. She said that she's the happiest she's ever been. He's not. I just feel like she must be so pissed sometimes because she's doing all the heavy lifting and trying to change public perception. She's chasing joy. Don't forget. Oh my gosh.
Oh
Don't.
my gosh, Kinsey, let me remove my glasses and do the patented Meghan Markle. Weeping with joy. I'm so glad you said it.
But it
And then I'm
brings
gonna just flutter my fingers like this. I'm just such a dainty little flower. Um,
exactly. So
here's
she's
what these two better live it up now, because that BBC interview that Harry just did, in which he implied all manner of vile things that the royal family is up to, as King Charles battles cancer, as Catherine is in remission. The minute William is coronated, those titles, bye-bye. They are
yeah.
going to be stripped naked in the public square. That's it. He just sealed his fate.
I know it might be a super stretch because they're not very smart. But a part of me does wonder if occasionally Harry comes out to pitch a little fit to remind us of his proximity to the royal family, because it truly is the only currency they have. And they have done such an excellent job of pretending like he doesn't exist. And I think it kills him and Meghan that they are ignored, that they're no longer. Remember the VE day? They just had VE day back then. Remember the VE day that Harry was livid that they wouldn't go put a wreath out for him to represent him, the wreath that he usually put out. So they staged a photo shoot in a cemetery here.
Yes, I remember that. And the wreath thing is like, you know what, Harry, they really should have put out as a funeral wreath. This reminds me, there was a brilliant move by a real housewife, I believe, of New Jersey, who, after a particularly brutal slight, sent a funeral wreath to a castmate on air. And the card read, "Condolences on the loss of your dignity."
Oh my God.
And I was like, this is freaking brilliant. And like that's exactly what I feel is going on with the royal family. I think you're exactly right. These fits, these sort of people want to kill me more than my father, my brother.
Yes.
It's like I'm important. I'm still relevant. I matter. Meanwhile, the British royal family is doing an expert job of gray rocking, which is the best way to deal with a narcissist, right?
Yeah.
You don't acknowledge, you don't react, you say nothing, and it just so they just sort of have to burn themselves out.
I'm saying right here, right now, that Prince Harry is not getting an invitation to Prince William's coronation.
Or let's think this out, right? Do you invite and put him in the really untenable position of either looking like an ingrate, bitter, irrelevant person by not attending, right? So if he feels he has to attend now, what happens with Meghan and the children, correct? Like, because she'll never show her face there again because she's a
Yeah.
coward, like all bullies, right? She's a coward at heart. Then where do you seat Harry, right? Because the titles are going to go.
Yeah.
And he's made Charles's remaining days a misery, as he revealed in the opening pages of Spare, a very private moment that Charles had with his sons after burying Philip, in which he says, "Boys, please don't make my remaining days a misery," which Harry took as a note to do exactly that.
Yeah.
So what kind of potted plant, extravagant Philip Treacy fascinator are we going to place Harry
Behind.
behind so that a well-positioned camera can get footage of him blocked? I mean, I'm kind of liking option B.
I'm Kinsey Schofield here with Maureen Callahan, host of The Nerve with Maureen Callahan. What's coming up this week? I have to tell you really quickly. I saw today, I have to finish watching it. You go into like BS celebrity beauty,
Mhm.
hacks or lies. I don't, how quickly I put thorough body after Gwyneth Paltrow posted about it over the weekend on in my cart. It was shocking. So I'm hoping you're not going to tell me that Gwyneth Paltrow is lying about the thorough body.
Actually, I leave Gwyneth alone in this segment, but I do
Okay.
take Gwyneth to task at the top of the show, and I take her celeb spawn out to the woodshed at the end of the show with a scandal that nobody will believe it. It's so vicious and savage, and they've tried to cover it up. It's alleged, but
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, then I'm going to go ahead and proceed with purchase and I will worry about it whether or not it actually works
give
later.
me your Yelp review when you're done with it. Let me see.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So I want that this story comes out. I immediately think of you. I want to immediately start tearing into this person, but I thought I'd hold on to it until we actually spoke because I know that you know how much of a terror Chrissy Teigen is. And
Mhm.
the idea that Meghan Markle, that's the big name Meghan Markle has for season 2 of With Love, Meghan, does that just confuse you beyond all comprehension from a PR perspective to place these two women, allegedly notorious bullies, next to each other, two women that are trying to fight this narrative? Doesn't that just enhance everyone's mind? Like in our minds, aren't we looking at these two standing next to each other going, Satan spawn and Satan spawn's BFF? There's just I can't imagine a publicist going, this sounds like a great idea.
I agree with you completely, as always. As in 99% of the time, I agree with you, Kinsey. But we're not talking about normal people here.
Uh,
We are talking about two desperate fame whores who married men to elevate their own stature. Chrissy Teigen has no talent. Like I
yeah.
talked about this on The Nerve, actually, the last episode. Like she was famous for a minute because people would be like, "Oh wow, isn't she so clever on social media? Like, isn't she so funny?" And then it came out that she was bullying a young starlet named Courtney Stodden, both on the open internet and then sliding into her DMs and saying, "You should kill yourself." Okay, I don't know the exact wording, but she was saying you should go kill yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, that's somebody, you are a sick, sick individual if that's how you get your kicks. Okay, so
Yes.
Chrissy Teigen, I think, is human garbage. She's garbage.
She is
And
garbage.
Meghan Markle, who, someone just emailed me and was reminding me to reread the Australian coverage of Harry and Meghan's official royal tour in Australia and the hissy fits she was throwing. And, the hot beverage that allegedly found itself smacking an assistant in the body, in the face, I don't know where. So there are two bullies who are desperate to be considered America's best friend among a cohort of females who they believe are easily influenced to purchase their garbage.
Mhm.
They're garbage.
Yeah. When it comes to Meghan and Harry, I feel like because I might have put it in our show notes, I probably did, but the idea that they're polling the worst they've ever polled. I'm sure that there are some sort of crisis management meetings that happen regularly where they try to determine how to change public perception. I mean, in the last few years, the joke has always been like another rebrand for Meghan, another rebrand for Harry and Meghan, another rebrand. But I wonder if one of the reasons that people just refuse to change course on their thoughts about Harry and Meghan, aside from the fact that they hate them and they're probably right for it, is because they don't their actions don't follow their words. You are just campaigning in New York to keep children off of social media. You are just campaigning to protect children on social media, children that have been so bullied that they take their own lives. And then you go and elevate this person, by elevate, Meghan's favorite word, by putting them, you're giving this person credibility by putting them on your show. You're endorsing this person by putting them on your show. And like you just pointed out, this is the same person that bullied a child, a 16-year-old kid, who now says that they were groomed. Uh,
Mhm.
you you're endorsing them by having them standing next to you on your show. Your actions don't match your words.
Well, this has been Meghan's problem since day one. And we all see her grasping for anything that will sort of reinforce this notion that she is welcomed among fellow famous people. There's this idea that I think that she holds, which is so completely immature and sad, frankly, that like, well, if somebody's famous, they must be a great person to know. I mean, I can point to any number of examples where it's actually the exact opposite. And people who often get to that level of fame have left a lot of bodies in their wake. You know, there's a ruthlessness that comes with that that is not appealing. And it's all we see with her right now. I mean, again, with every sort of law, like, first of all, my question is, she announced, oh, we're renewed for season two, right? That's not a renewal. Like, they shot the whole thing at once and then they chopped it up, and, they got to burn off the rest of it in the fall. But is she shooting additional episodes? Because this Chrissy Teigen announcement feels very like breaking news, right? Like, why wasn't she included in the initial rollout? Like, if she had Chrissy, why not front load her in the beginning? Because the only other real name Megan had, sorry, was Mindy Kaling.
I think that those are the only two names she had in this whole thing other than Prince Harry. And Prince Harry apparently is not seen at all in season two, which I don't think is going to bode well because there are people like me that now have no reason to watch it. I told you the last time this came out, I was instructed to watch 3 episodes to react to Prince Harry's presence or mention in those episodes. I don't even think I'll be able to tolerate season two, round two, without any Prince Harry. And that is your only currency.
It is her only currency. And I don't, I just don't know what she's doing, because in anticipation of coming on to talk to you, I did listen to a little bit of the
Why?
latest podcast.
Oh my
Okay.
God. You and I both, I was about to jump out the window.
Okay, Kinsey, I started off with my earbuds in, and within 2 minutes, I was like, I cannot physically have her voice this close, like in my ear canal. I have to remove the earbuds and put it on speaker and move it a little bit away. This is how like revolting I find her,
Yeah.
and she's talking a bunch of garbage to some woman who founded a makeup line, a woman who, by the way, comes from enough money that she says to her mother, I know you're saving up for all of our weddings. So this woman's put aside like 100K for each kid. She comes from money. Give me my money so I can have my seed money. But she's talking about bootstrapping and like struggling, and spare me. Okay.
Yeah,
This,
both of them are like that though. Like both of them are not, eating out of a dumpster because are not able to pay their rent because they're so emotionally invested in these brands. They're Meghan Markle is in the position she's in because of the man she married. Yeah, you're talking about Kitsch founder Cassandra Thurswell. I secretly love the fact that they have sent me a bunch of free swag because I'm like, and oh, you were friends with Megan and I'm getting free swag. Clearly, you don't know what my day job is.
no kidding.
But it says, speaking to her guest, because Megan made it all about herself yet again, Megan revealed how she likes to show up for people, with this gesture extending over to her business as ever. She also talked about how she always imagined having her kid on her hip doing speeches, and how her circumstances changed that direction. They discussed the struggle of balancing their parenting duties with growing their business. We just found out Megan has a nanny. Well, are we really supposed to be able to relate to this woman who also, I think Doria Ragland almost lives with them full time as well? She has plenty of help. I'm sorry, but you don't fit in this category of like boss girl working mom who's about to pull her hair out when you've got plenty of people to help you juggle it all.
Yeah, I don't believe there's only one nanny.
Yeah.
There are multiple nannies. I think there are multiple handlers. The household staff is vast, I believe. What's also really interesting about, so the show is so boring to listen to, and the only thing that is remotely like interesting are these little tells that Megan gives about what a freaking, my opinion, malignant narcissist she is. She tells us that she has known this woman since they were both sort of struggling in their respective industries, and was introduced to her at age like 23 or 24. This woman came over to help her figure out how to dress. If she's any good at it, none of the lessons stuck, because we just keep looking at Megan in these like billowing pants that are the hems are dragging all over the place. Okay. And the clothes are wrinkled and whatever. And so she says, so Cassie, and then Cassie goes, it's so funny, Megan, shades of, I'm Sussex now. It's so funny you call me Cassie, because like the only people in my life who call me that are my closest family members. So it's a little cut. It's a little like you're assuming a familiarity with me that you don't have and hasn't been earned, right? And then Megan goes, "Oh, well, I just love that I'm one of the people who can call you that because, I mean, we've known each other for so long." And then it comes out that Megan knew none of this woman's backstory.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, I didn't know any of that." You didn't know because you didn't ask her one single freaking question about herself because you only are interested in people to the extent that they can redound to your benefit in some way. It's ridiculous.
Do you think that this will last? I mean, I'm not disparaging Lemonada Media, but it's not like Spotify where the return on investment is so important, having cut them such a significant check or original deal. I think Lemonada is kind of like a go with the flow kind of place, and the name association in their mind benefits them. I feel like they might, as long as she's not difficult, and we know she was at Spotify, calling in, demanding changes, at the very last minute, them having to pull the episode, re-upload it, 17 freaking producers for one show. Do you think that as long as she's not difficult, Lemonada will allow her to kick this can? Because I'm with you. I think that the content is almost painful. There's nothing enjoyable when it comes to Confessions of a Female Founder. I don't believe she's friends with any of these people in real life because she's so awkward in the
Mhm.
way she communicates. So you don't get that. Like, people message me all the time. They say they can tell that we love each other. We do. We're comfortable
Right,
with each other. We're not frigid. I
right.
just don't know if there's any value in this from a PR perspective. I'm sure Lemonada's like, oh, it's brand recognition for us, but it just seems like such a waste.
God, what I would give to see those numbers. Like
Yeah.
what I would give to see the analytics, because they can tell down to the second how
Hmm.
engaged an audience is when they're tuning out, when they're coming back. Like I would kill. And this is why I don't feel, I've ceased to feel sorry anymore for anybody who gets in business with these two. You know exactly what you're getting. You know it.
Yeah.
So if you take a hit, it's on you. Okay. Now, the problem with, I'm always diagnosing Megan, like, but she's sort of she's just like one of those patients. There was this famous book written in the 40s called The Mask of Sanity, and it was by a doctor who kind of figured out there's this portion of the population that is psychopathic and they cannot be treated. They're resistant to any kind of treatment. And I view Megan as kind of just completely treatment resistant on any level, right? There's no amount of advice she will take. There's no amount of scolding that will humble her. There's no lesson she will learn that will cause her to course correct, nothing. But I think the foundational sediment of her problem is that she has zero sense of humor.
Mm,
And if you don't have a sense of humor, you have nothing for anybody to latch on to relate to you about. You can't laugh at yourself. You take yourself so seriously. Why do you take yourself so seriously? You're on this planet for a nanosecond. Enjoy. She can't. She can't. And I think that is her fun. And so when she's doing these things like, "Oh, I was just looking at my old report." Who looks at their old report cards? Or, "Oh, that was so funny. That was so funny." You're like, it's all fake.
yeah.
It's real.
I think you're the first person I've ever heard say that about how she has no sense of humor and how detrimental that is truly. Because we all talk about authenticity, and that is of course, at the core, yes. But have laugh at something sincere, laugh at something genuine. Prince Harry used to.
Hmm.
And there's the story of them going on the shooting weekend and her scolding him and his friends because she didn't like the jokes that they were telling. And he hasn't hung out with a lot of those people since then because she was so horrified by their sense of humor and the way that they engaged with each other, which is sad for him. And we could see that when he was randomly knocking on doors that he feels so deflated. But it's almost I said for a couple of years these two need to adopt self-deprecation and people might tolerate them a little bit better. But I think it's too late in the game now. I think if we saw that now, we'd be like, oh God, just stop trying. You gave the example of the bridge London Bridge and Meghan just like careening into it. Like, I'm shoving myself on you. I'm not going to stop. And that's kind of how it is now. Even if they tried to go the self-deprecation route and like make a joke out of it all, we'd be like, just could you just stop? We just need some air. You guys are, I feel a restraining order coming on me against you. Leave me alone.
Yeah, so by the way, Kinsey, when I saw that footage this weekend, this was like breaking news here in New York.
Yeah.
A Mexican Navy ship with like a huge mast and all of these billowing sails careened itself right into the Brooklyn Bridge. And it just you saw the ship go like it just fell apart. The bridge is the immovable object, but the ship just keeps on going. Like it's smashing and it keeps on going. And in my mind, I saw that I said Meghan Markle is the ship and the Brooklyn Bridge is the rest of us. And
Yes.
she's going to keep smashing into us with her repeated attempts to be successful and well liked. And we are going to completely gray rock and resist it. You can smash up against our rock as much as you want. It's not happening, sister. Okay.
Oh.
And by the way, that anecdote about the hunting weekend, such a good hang that Meghan, right? You know, like, oh, Harry's like, I'm bringing Meghan. Everybody's like, Jesus Christ. Did you ever hear the rumor, and you would be the person to know, that at some point in their courtship, like he was getting second thoughts. He was really like, I don't know about this. He was beginning to put distance between them. And there was a wedding of one of Harry's closest friends, like in Jamaica, and she wasn't invited, but she showed up anyway.
I did not hear that she wasn't invited, but she showed up anyway. But I heard that there was tension there.
It's interesting. I think the
That's
truth is
it's
somewhere in the middle, maybe.
Yeah, no, I think it's worth looking up. Like, I hesitate to believe that there were second thoughts because she kept threatening him. I'm going to leave you if you don't. Valentine Lowe writes about this, I believe, in Courtiers, and he's got a new book coming out. And Valentine Lowe says that she threatened, when he initially announced their relationship, um, it was because she said, let we do this and you tell everybody I'm with you. And remember, she's this little old girl on a cable show suit.
Right.
Like, I'm sure it is, and she's an influencer. I'm sure it's killing her that she can't tell the world that she bagged this guy, because she's been hustling her entire life for fame, and this she knows is going to take her to the next level. So word gets out that they get a call allegedly on like the night after Halloween or the night after a Halloween party, and allegedly she's like, we tell them, we say we're together, or I'm done, I don't want to hide anymore. Then she, according to Valentine Lowe, threatens to leave him if he doesn't come out and defend her from some of the coverage, the tabloid coverage she doesn't like in the UK. And I remember having to cover this in Sacramento as a local news anchor, being like, what? We had to cover that Harry was defending her from racism. And at the time, I don't even think that some of the examples that they give existed yet. I think that there were a couple of headlines, which I do not, straight out of Compton. It was just stupid. It was just dumb. But there were a couple of instances where she threatened to leave him. And a part of the reason why I don't believe that he had any second thoughts is because she created a real fear of abandonment in him that she knew he was already struggling
Right.
with because of his mom.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like he was always like, I don't want to lose her. I don't want to lose her. I don't want to lose her. I feel like we still see that today.
Well, now we definitely see it because he's in so deep, right? He's cut off his entire family of origin and he's got these two kids and this new life. And she's running around town telling everybody how happy they are every 5 minutes. Excuse my language. But I think I'm very curious about the power dynamics because I think in the early days they were shifting. And what told me that was the Netflix doc, the first version that those two did. And she's talking about how after that first date, it was just like they had to see each other all the time. And so it was always like flying and flying and flying. And if you look at the diaries that she kept of her travels, because of course she did, it's always M to London, M to London. And now she's working. I will give her that. She has a schedule. It's never H to Vancouver, ever. What is he doing? That guy's got nothing but free time.
Right.
Nothing. So she's the one who's really pursuing him
Jason. Yeah.
while embedding in his mind, like, I'm the reincarnation of your mother. You have to protect me. I'm going to be in grave mortal danger. And I think even her threats to leave him could have been a kind of, I'm going to beat you to it, right? I'm going to threaten, now I'm going to put that fear in you. How do you like it?
Mm.
That's what I think I do, because his friends hate her.
Yeah.
They hate her. And and William was like, don't slow this down. You know, I mean, I'm sure Catherine was like, you might want to slow this down, you know, and when everyone in your life who has been there since the beginning is having a reaction this strong, I know he's thick. I know his mother said it, but I cannot believe that didn't have some role in him maybe having a second thought or two once in a while.
I also think there's the Romeo and Juliet of it all, though. Like when you've got, because Earl Spencer stepped in because of Prince William's request. When you have everybody saying she's not right for you, you're like, but I love her. And it almost makes you like more obsessed with the idea. But no, he's so stubborn to begin with. You talk about the power dynamics. There is something to be said. Like if this were a man that had taken a woman away from her entire family and she was isolated, we would be sitting back going like, is there any sort of emotional abuse happening here? The fact that this person, this girl has lost her entire life. If it was a princess who had lost her entire life and her standing in society. I mean, Prince Harry's a joke now, knocking on dumpster doors. We would all literally be concerned for this person. But the fact that it's Meghan that is the boss, it seems like we just are all sitting back going, okay. I mean, Harry's not a victim. I should say that. I think he's been so cruel to his family. He's no victim. But I also think that if if the sexes were changed, I do think that people would be a little bit more judgmental. And because Meghan's the one in the driver's seat, people are like, oh, but she's so, she's basically a reality star. How much control can she have over him? He was a prince.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think early on, I certainly felt like that. Like this is somebody who seems to be systematically, cutting all of his ties to anyone else and isolating him. And that's what I'm not saying she is, but that's what abusers do. That's
Yeah.
what they do. And I think the problem is though that he is just as reprehensible and so deeply unlikable. We saw the real Harry. He's entitled. He's full of grievances. He made his dying grandfather's last moments on this earth hell with that Oprah interview, slinging around those accusations of racism. He did it to his grandmother, the late Queen Elizabeth. He's done it to everybody, and nobody, he sold out his entire family. And then he just went on the BBC and said, basically in sum and substance, my family, my father, the king, and my brother, the future king, want me dead.
Wait,
But I would love to get back in. Who cares about what his hell is like at home? I frankly think like you're the architect of your own misery. If you're sad, I don't feel bad for you. You have it coming. You get what you give. Like this is it. This is life.
did you see those headlines that about them hanging out with Brooklyn and Nicola Beckham, Harry and
Yeah,
Meghan?
no, they think this is another win, Kinsey.
And like it's not. I mean, I would no. It's just like the reject patrol. But what killed me was yesterday seeing David Beckham with the king and Queen Camilla at the flower show. And it's just like you're so, that's the A team. You're with grilled cheese Beckham. I want to be with Benda like Beckham. Like I want to be with the real thing. Like you got the Timu version.
Remember when David Beckham lined up like any other British citizen to view the Queen's casket, hours on end, refused to take a shortcut, and people loved him for that's class. Like
Yeah.
that's how you do it in the public eye. Now, I would bet that Meghan and Brooklyn were talking about, do you think what excellent chefs they are?
Yes,
I love Beckham because he's 10 years into this fledgling career as a chef. Like they still call him like the aspiring chef. He was an aspiring photographer for a while, an aspiring DJ. It's like these celeb you spawn who are just casting about. They have no talent, but they want to be known for something in a glamour field,
But
and that's
this is
Megan.
exactly what we're talking about with Chrissy. Like when you team up with somebody that's known for something that's not positive, it only makes it hyper only makes us hyper aware that you're both flailing. Like you two are both bullies. Brooklyn is the lost nepo baby with Prince Harry, the lost nepo baby. When you team up with somebody, you want to team up with somebody that's doing better than you, so people assume you're on the up and up. You don't want to team up with somebody that's also failing miserably, because then we all sit back and go, oh, you guys have that in common, and that I'm not very impressed with that.
One of my mother's favorite sayings used to be water seeks its own level, which is basically what you're saying. Like
Yeah.
if you want to be like a happy, successful person, you seek out those people and you learn from them and you grow and all of that. If you're healthy, I think. And if you're a very unwell, sick person, as I think the Sussexes are, you're just basically seeking out and attracting, like attracts like. And not for nothing, but Nicola Peltz, whose father is a billionaire, is being accused of the same thing, of separating Brooklyn from his very famous, very successful family, which was otherwise we got the branding that the Beckhams are extremely close, and that they really love they do seem to really love their kids. And I just so why they think this is like a power summit for the
Yeah.
ages, like it's delusional.
All right. So Ryan Reynolds appeared on Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. That's Conan's podcast, where they playfully, says the New York Post, poked fun at Meghan Markle for being a middleman for jars of jam. Now, Ryan has been pretty open about his strained relationship with his parents, but especially his father, like how his father always made him feel not good enough, and how he just, even today with his father gone, he always just feels like his father's disappointed in him. And now Ryan says that he thought his dad worked for the CIA. He was a food broker, but it turns out it just meant he was a middleman for jars of jam. Conan O'Brien cracks up and says, what? He works for Meghan Markle? And then he says, tiny jams, harvestable jams made from the oils of Montecito. And Ryan Reynolds says, if Jumbo Reynolds wasn't dead, I'd say he is Meghan Markle. And then Conan O'Brien jokes, many people have likened the two. We talk so much about Meghan shoving herself down our throats. Unfortunately, I used to like Ryan Reynolds. Unfortunately, this Justin Baldoni thing has unraveled that. But it does say a lot that he's almost leaning into poking fun at Meghan Markle. They were just on the Time 100 summit stage, on the same day. He's got to know he's in the same category along with Blake and Harry and Meghan at this point in time when it comes to the public sympathy for them and any sort of public interest. Does it say anything to you that he allowed Conan to go there? He kind of leaned into the joke.
Well, first of all, I didn't know that backstory about Ryan Reynolds and his dad, which I find fascinating and which explains what I've always detected in Ryan Reynolds, which is a real rage simmering under that placid, affable, nice guy surface. I never bought it for a second. And yeah, I think Ryan Reynolds should be very careful. I think he seems to be one of the middlemen involved in this Blake v. Baldoni lawsuit that is torching the two of them. Okay, he's catching it too. Blake has been cut off publicly. We know they've said this. Taylor Swift, dead to her. Gigi Hadid, dead to her. There was a very starry 30th birthday party for Gigi in New York City last week. Bradley Cooper was there, Anne Hathaway was there. Guess who was not there? Blake, also Ryan, not at the Met Gala. Attend to your own conflagrations at home. Tend to your own troublesome woman at home. I don't know why he's out there, period. He should be at home begging his wife to settle this lawsuit before it destroys them completely.
Do you, in regards to that lawsuit, there are people that have noted that Blake has a history with falling in love with her co-stars,
Mhm.
and they've suggested that Blake might have felt something for Justin Baldoni, and a lot of this rage is Ryan Reynolds reacting to what he deemed inappropriate I mean, all of this is allegedly and whatever else I have to say, so I don't get in trouble with anybody and I don't get sued. But any thoughts on that? That maybe Blake didn't hate the attention, or I mean, Justin Baldoni says there was no attention.
Well, my theory of the case has always been that this feels way too personal. Like, she's pretty powerful. Her husband's very powerful. Justin Baldoni is not. If it was that bad of an experience, you just walk away from it and you never work with him again. And maybe you start like a little whisper campaign in the industry, but you don't take it to the New York Times and then file a monster lawsuit attempting to destroy this guy. We saw some of the text messages that she was sending to Justin Baldoni. They are very sexually suggestive. She's basically implying she will give him oral favors and that she knows how to not use her teeth. Okay.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. She thinks this is like clever romantic banter. Yeah, it's right out of the 30 screwball comedies with like Cary Grant and Carol Lombard. Give me a break. It's so all completely embarrassing. And again, like, these are people who don't know when to quit. They're like Harry and Meghan. I think Ryan Reynolds doesn't realize the parallels and the similarities here between himself and Blake and Harry and Meghan.
Mm-hmm. If you look at their PR playbook, it's almost identical right now. And they're both heading in the worst possible direction ever. I say, like you, they should have settled this thing, but I'd also go away for several years.
Oh,
And
100%.
neither one of them want to do that. They show up in places where they shouldn't be. The Time 100 summit, most influential. I mean, it just tells us that the only person we approve of on that list is Megyn Kelly, but it just tells us that like everything else is just they're using these people for us to talk. I mean, why would we be talking about the Time 100? We've been talking about it relentlessly because it was just so shocking that Meghan Markle would sit on that stage with a brand that's 2 months old to gloat about how successful she is. You married well. Your brand there's not even enough time to determine whether or not this brand is going to be here 12 months from now.
And it won't, I can promise you, because I ordered some of that stuff for my day job at the Daily Mail, and the packaging just like falls apart. It's really cheap. And secondly, Blake Lively got up at the Time 100 Summit and talked about her mother's rape.
I know.
F off. Like, talk about cynical. Like, that is a private, sacred thing. Like, don't do that. And I just think it's so stupid because, like, I am not a crisis manager, but I often, when things like this happen, I think to myself, if I were a crisis manager, what would I tell people to do? And listen, we've got a circus going on in downtown New York City right now, known as the Sean Diddy Combs trial, okay? Pay this guy a good amount of money that he certainly deserves for getting his name dragged through the mud. Take your brood of children and go away and let everybody's eyes go to Diddy and let all their outrage go there, okay? This is an easy play. It's an easy play, and you're okay. Go ahead, just keep burning yourself in the public square. No one will feel sorry for you when this ends. No one.
I know, but Meghan's kind of not in the same position because there are people that are always trying to create royal news. Royal news is never ending. What would you say for Meghan and Harry? Because I don't think that the Diddy trial gives them that freedom.
Well, this is what they said they wanted in the beginning, right? They were leaving for privacy and they were going to go to Vancouver, which everybody said, oh, they're going down to LA, which they did.
Yeah.
The South Park did it first and did it best, right? The worldwide privacy tour. They could have retired into a private kind of life. People do it. Presidents used to do it. Far more famous people use. Greta Garbo is like, I know this is old Hollywood. It's the greatest example. The whole thing with her was, I want to be alone. And people left her alone. And she would be seen in New York City, but she lived a private life. Now, granted, before the internet and social media, but it can be done. And Meghan thinks that she is so relentlessly interesting that we want to see and hear her all the time. And we don't. Again, like what I would give for the Netflix numbers,
Yeah.
the analytics there. And the talk within those walls about what it's like to deal with her, because she's always throwing these fits, right? Like she's a mind like a Steve Jobs or an Elon Musk. Well, I'm so brilliant, you gotta listen to me.
Yeah.
She's a moron. She's not that bright, in my opinion. Just my opinion.
No, I think that's pretty factual, but I understand allegedly. Yeah, it bothered me today when I heard her say, and this will be our final discussion. You've been so gracious with your time. Thank
So
you. But when
fun,
she said
please.
she loves to show up for people, I recoiled when she said that because last year, Catherine, a young mother, was being absolutely destroyed in the press. Where's Catherine? Photoshop gate, uh, people secretly recording her outside of the grocery store while she's dealing with cancer. The king still has cancer. And like you just brought up the BBC interview, Harry and Meghan still basically attacking this family. Cancer is something that affects everybody. If Meghan wanted to prove any sort of kindness or that she shows up for people, that she had any sort of an ounce of empathy or compassion, we would have seen or heard of some of the nice things she tried to do for Harry's family throughout the last 2 years, which have been very difficult thanks to horrendous cancer, but also cancer on top of cancer, Catherine and the king. And they made one statement and that was it. I'm sorry, but your fruit baskets just don't cut it. We've watched these two struggle. In King Charles's case, I think he's been very courageous in the way that he's come back to work. Catherine too, thankfully she's in remission, but he's not. But we've watched this family really struggle, and the cancer is after multiple losses. Prince Philip dies, Queen Elizabeth dies, the whole monarchy flipped upside down. Now the king has to adjust to his new role. Oh, you have cancer, by the way. I mean, you think about the true, and I know that this is a privileged family, but you think about the devastation that they've suffered over the last 5 years, and you think that about the way Meghan has handled it, accusing them of racism, whatever, now she's shilling jam, and you're just like, you don't have any empathy, you have no compassion whatsoever.
Well, this makes me think of the image that she threw up last week on her Instagram account, which, by the way, likes and comments seem to be permanently disabled. Some likes are up, some likes are whatever. But it was after that court ruling where, Harry was once again, like for the third time, it's like, get the message, you dolt. You're not getting security paid for by the British taxpayers. It's not happening.
Well,
And
it is happening on a case by case basis. Stop bitching. It happens
right,
on a case
exactly.
by case basis. Like you're lying.
Sorry, you're so right. I'm like their messaging is like getting into my pores. Anyway, so he goes and he bitches and moans to the BBC, and then she puts up an image of Harry and the two children with their backs to the camera, walking away in black and white, and that is her FU to the king who is battling cancer and still doing his duty. She is a nasty piece of work. She is a deeply, in my opinion, unwell, unhappy person who is a nasty piece of work. And this is why people don't buy her as a likable person, as a relatable person, as somebody they want in their living rooms, even if it's only mediated by a screen. They don't want you there, lady, okay? And she can't figure this most elemental thing out. And why am I going to take advice from someone who can't figure this crap out?
Right. Nasty piece of work. Perfect that Chrissy Teigen is going to be on season 2 of With Love Megan because like attracts like in the universe. So congratulations, ladies. That is a dumpster fire that I might tune in for that dumpster fire. God knows that the mix of those two, I think that that's going to be pretty toxic. I hate to say I'm looking forward to it. Are you judging me?
I'm not judging you. I just think it's really funny that Megan, who has sort of come full circle and she's back to like basically a suitcase girl on a game show. Like Chrissy Teigen is best known for being on like Watch What Happens Live. She's like a fill-in guest they can call at the last minute when somebody who's really famous and accomplished at what they do drops out. It's like, well, Chrissy will do it. She's just like, I saw her at the White House Correspondents' Dinner one year with like the Vanderpump Rules people, and they're all just so fake. It's like they know how to like they see each other and then they just come together like magnets and they immediately array themselves to pose in from their best sides, their best angles, their best this. They don't say a word to each other really, and then they just go their separate ways. Like that's what that world is. It's all fake.
This is one of my favorite products. This holiday, while others are chasing the rush, find your sense of calm with Peak. Peak is a luxury wellness brand powered by rare plants and cutting edge ingredients, offering the perfect remedy for the season's hustle and bustle. Their science backed botanicals, minerals, and vitamins support metabolic function, immune health, sustained energy, and radiant skin. In this festive season, choose serenity as the ultimate luxury with Peak. One of their newest essentials, the dehydration protocol, is a day to night electrolyte system that keeps your body and skin hydrated while promoting better sleep. Enjoy a focus boost without jitters or crash. The natural balance of caffeine and calming compounds keep you centered and alert all day long. Nutrients in their matcha help curb sugar and hunger cravings, making it easier to stick to your wellness goals. Now, I have been using the deep hydration protocol every night for the past 2 months, and my skin has never looked so plump and dewy. I wake up looking and feeling like I got enough sleep. Ready to gift the glow? Unlock 20% off for life for yourself and everyone on your list. Give the gift of glowing health this holiday season. Get started at peaklife.com/Kinsey. That's PIQUE life.com/Kinsey. Who should be shaking in their boots this week? Who are you going after this week?
Lena Dunham
Oh,
is going to become a permanent resident of the woodshed. She's never getting out. If no one else will institutionalize her, we will. And Sarah Jessica Parker, not just her terrible show, but Sarah herself, she's got it coming.
oh my gosh. I love watching your recaps. Well, I don't watch it just like that because it's terrible. So I just
Hmm.
watch your recaps and I feel at one with the and just like that universe.
I am doing the Lord's work,
You
Kinsey. I
are.
am.
You are.
I am.
You're taking one for the team. All right.
Hmm.
Well, I let you know a few seconds ago. Prince Harry's in Angola. Walking landmines. Now, the reason I'm telling you this and that a source told the Daily Mail the Duke won't let his wife go to England over security concerns, so there was no chance he'd allow her to go to Angola to walk across landmines, is because Harry and Meghan say that they did not tell the Daily Mail that they were pursuing a royal reconciliation. Like it came out that Harry was livid that someone leaked the peace talks, but someone is suspiciously now telling the Daily Mail about a trip, a surprise trip Prince Harry just took. There is a lack of consistency when it comes to this crew, and or maybe the only thing consistent is that they are inconsistent. You can't say like we are mad at the Daily Mail and then somebody go give the Daily Mail another scoop about Prince Harry.
This is so amazing on so many levels. So first of all, Harry is now has manifested the literal version of what he's been doing lo these many years, which is walking on landmines, and one of them is going to go off.
Ugh.
Like they've been going off. Secondly, let's say if we're going to give the bet, because if Harry and Meghan didn't leak it, well, it wasn't the palace. It was not. It was not. It's one of two people, and we have a track record of
Right.
offenses. But let's take Harry at face value. Do you think it's possible, Kinsey, that Meghan secretes herself in another wing over in Montecito and is secretly making those phone calls without letting Harry know? Because to your great scoop the other week, you said you have it on great authority that she tends to abuse the staff when he's not around.
Mm,
And when he does see it, he intervenes on behalf of the staff.
right. Well, here is my theory. I think that I don't think Harry gave Omid Scobie his scoop in Endgame. We saw Harry dismiss the royal racist storyline with Tom Bradby, saying, "Oh, we never said that. The media said that." He was being dishonest. He was trying to dismiss it, but he was clearly trying to change the conversation. He ignores the royal racist storyline in Spare. They really don't get into it in the Netflix series, but someone whispered in Omid Scobie's ear that it was King Charles and Catherine, the Princess of Wales. You are probably like me. You probably don't believe that whatsoever, that
Hmm.
they were the royal racists or there is a royal racist. we should stress, but somebody whispered that in Omid Scobie's ear, and I don't think it was Harry. And the Dutch version was accidentally leaked, and here we are today. Omid Scobie really has kind of fallen off the face of the planet and doesn't get very many scoops from the Harry and Meghan camp. But somebody did tell him that, and that's why I think that perhaps Meghan does do things that Prince Harry doesn't know about.
And this goes to how thick he is.
Yeah.
Diana herself used that word regarding Harry. He's thick. He can't figure it out. He can't figure out that in a filet-a-deux, the two of them, largely friendless, I believe,
Yeah.
staff churning over, nobody's around long enough to get any real intel and go sell it, and I'm sure they signed the mother of all NDAs as it is.
Yes.
So if it's not Harry, who do you think it is?
This idea of the royal reconciliation, it turns my stomach almost immediately. I'm like, no, you don't deserve it. I know that this is very petty of me. I know I need to be an adult here. There are so many people too that are telling me Prince William's going to be head of the church one day. As head of the church, he has to be an example, that example being forgiveness. I understand that. That is a very logical explanation to me. But from a PR standpoint, from somebody who's just private in general, I look at Harry and Meghan as an incredible liability, as somebody that, or as a pair of people that try to tear others down when they don't get their way. And I think to myself, don't do it. And I know that that makes me small. I know that that makes me a bad person.
I don't think that's true at all, Kinsey. I think it makes you a smart person. First of all, head of the church. I mean, Charles is head of the church and he is married to the woman he had a long time extramarital affair with. It has not diminished him in any real way. It's made him more human. Secondly, I can get often with the vengeful God of the Old Testament. I think sometimes vengeance is applicable and the only answer. I don't know how William could credibly, conceivably, or Catherine, Princess of Wales, ever trust Harry again after all he has done and said to them. And especially Catherine having gone through what she's gone through, and she's still in a process of recovery and healing, and she will live with this for many, many years. It changes your perspective on life. And I would bet it has had a very clarifying effect, a winnowing effect. And lastly, I think the reason this story remains so compelling is I don't think there is a family on the planet that cannot relate to this kind of stuff. Charles is ill. He is an older man. He knows he has fewer days ahead of him and then behind him. And I think he is looking to make his peace with his son before it's too late. I think there's something very elemental and human that is driving this impulse. But what do these two do? What do? They can't help themselves. They immediately leak this summit. Unless you want to strip him, he's entering, a fortified, high classified unit, make sure he's not wired up. There are multiple people around. Nothing of substance is really discussed. And, it's in and out. It's a final meeting with, I don't know how else you do it with these two. I
Right.
don't know how else you do it.
All right. You mentioned Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and you sent me, because we typically talk about Harry and Meghan offline, but you sent me some really sweet, positive press coverage of Catherine, the Princess of Wales. And we saw a lot of it this week. And she looked gorgeous. And in come the cute, adorable children. And Princess Charlotte is Catherine's clone. And we're watching them. They have the same mannerisms. It was such a great weekend for Wales watching, if you love watching the Prince and Princess of Wales. But some are saying that perhaps this secret summit was leaked to disrupt Catherine's positive headlines. So do you buy into at all the fact that Team Sussex just could not stand the positive headlines that the Wales family were getting over the last few weeks and days?
I tend to think the animating force here was Meghan and her seething jealousy over Catherine, her single white femaling of Catherine, her rage that she will never be Queen of England. Um, to see Catherine, watching it from an American perspective, I love Wimbledon, I love tennis. Watching Catherine as the patron of Wimbledon, seeing her this year at both the women's final and the men's, which were back to back, which must have been a lot for her. But I was most really moved by there was a big story in the Mail about her breaking royal protocol. There was a very low-seeded American tennis player who defeated Sabalenka and advanced to the finals. And she was, a long shot, and she couldn't do it, and she lost her composure. She was weeping on the court, and she had to remove herself and pull herself together. And tennis is so much about how you lose. It's why I love tennis. It's so much about like keeping your dignity and sportsmanship and all of that. And so it's very un-British too, right? To not be able to keep your stiff upper lip. And Catherine, in awarding this young player, put her hand on her arm and said, "Hold your head up high. Basically, you have nothing to be ashamed of." And I thought that was so lovely and moving, and the kind of the kind of humanity we're now seeing is it's sort of a different, warmer. It reminds me of that shot of Catherine running out of her SUV towards like that little girl who had been waiting for her for hours.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff that I think sends Meghan Markle into paroxysms of rage. And so she couldn't help herself. She had to leak this story to put the Waleses on notice that they are working their way back. At least she thinks so. She thinks so. I don't think it's going to happen.
I hope you're right. You mentioned Catherine and Meghan's jealousy, and that's a really great segue. We're not done talking about the royal reconciliation. We'll go back. But there were two stories that reminded me exactly of what you were talking about that circulated this week. You and I love Tom Bower. We love Tom Bower's book Revenge, and for some reason, one of those stories that I had completely forgotten about started circulating this week about how Thomas Markle, her father, said that Meghan was so jealous of one of the girls she went to school with because she booked a gig in LA. She booked a gig, so and Meghan was ugly to her over it. Then a teacher made Meghan pick between being in the pajama game, a play, or doing some sort of week-long camp. And Meghan chose the camp, but she was angry over the fact that the teacher made her choose. So she insisted that her dad not be the lighting director on the play that she felt excluded from, and got into a screaming match with him and packed up and moved to live with her mother as a teenager over this. So the headline there is just this intense jealousy. Meghan Markle's Hollywood career reportedly suffered from her intense jealousy. And on the back of that, there's that story about how Meghan was so angry that Catherine, the Princess of Wales, was the priority when it came to fashion designers. I mean, I cannot imagine being this petty and saying, angry that Catherine was the priority, saying she's not even queen. She's not even queen. The power of yet, Maureen, the power of yet. She's not queen yet. But I think you're exactly right that there is so much jealousy when it comes to Meghan and Catherine, and Meghan had to be quiet last year. Meghan had to behave last year because you do not mess with cancer. And now all bets are off, it seems like, again.
There's so much about this that's amazing. This anecdote about her rage over a champagne problem. You can be in this play and have a big role, or you can go on this retreat, which sounds lovely. And how dare you make her choose? What is Sophie's choice,
Yeah.
truly? This is the kind of maturity that I'm sure the Windsors were like, wow, let's roll out the red carpet for this one. What an addition. And then to have a screaming fight with her father, who, helped build this monster. I am fascinated by the gap. It's like the Christ of the Bible, where it's like we don't know what happened between age 12 and age 30. It's the same with Meghan Markle. Like there's this missing span of her life and what went down there, right? And
Mhm.
when you tell these stories or repeat the Bauer stories of that he's unearthing of the raving jealousy at that age, what comes to mind is the final sequence of The Substance, where Demi Moore finally just becomes this gargoyle who's spewing bile all over this. Like that's Meghan Markle to me. Like she has just fully been overtaken by her rage and her jealousy. And this is why she will never make it. It's why every next endeavor is yet another step down and a great failure.
No shade to Mindy Kaling, but do you think that's why Megan doesn't have any friends that are real Hollywood rock stars? I feel, and not that Mindy Kaling is her friend. I know she tried to play that, but you don't say to your friend, actually, it's Kinsey Sussex now. Like I would never. Um, so do you think that that jealousy that we're talking about limits her ability to develop relationships, real relationships in Hollywood? Look, we know they're toxic, but there are some people that don't care, that just
Mhm.
want the association with or the proximity to the royal family, and we don't see anyone with them.
Oprah has traded Meghan Markle for Lauren Sanchez. Okay. Uh, it's very, very true. You know, Meghan, that Sussex Now comment, which will live in infamy, that was fascinating to me because that is someone who is trying to that's her superiority complex at work. But
Mhm.
I think that the flip side of a complex is a deep inferiority complex. You know, it's like how narcissists are really just wounded children, but they're still monsters, right? It's two sides of the same coin. And so she's got a major inferiority complex and she's always looking to overcompensate or prove herself. Thus come these utterances that are just intolerable, insufferable. I think Mindy Kaling housed that comment on screen because she had to. She just had to absorb the shrapnel, but in her mind was like, I can't wait to get out of here and I will never have anything else to do with this woman again. What a thing to say to somebody. And you cannot be a friend to others, but especially other women, if you are at heart always looking at them as rivals, as competition. You know, I wonder in her deep yawning chasm of need and insatiability, if she also is delusional enough to look at other women and see them as threats who might go after Harry.
Well, that's what that, like if you listen to Tom Bauer's words, one downside of Meghan's success was her intense jealousy, especially if someone else got the lead part. Um, I think that Prince Harry was the ultimate was the ultimate lead role. And she had dealt with so much rejection through her entertain because this was a 40-year-old woman basically
Mm-hmm.
who
Mm-hmm.
secures Prince Harry. And she had dealt with so much rejection. Yes, suits had happened, but on Maureen, you and I've worked in entertainment for combined, I won't even say the number. I had never heard of Meghan Markle before Prince Harry. Had you?
No, no,
No.
never.
And
No.
so okay, you landed suits, congratulations, but that was a very core audience, and not much, she did not ever pop up in the pop culture space at all. So I feel like I want to believe she became this monster after she secured Prince Harry. I don't want to believe that she's been like this all this time and the royal family allowed this union to take place. But thanks to Lady Elizabeth Anton and more, it does seem like she was always this nasty person.
I agree. I think, you know, this theory, I want to pull on this thread a little bit of yours, this theory that in landing Harry, she sort of got her ultimate leading role. I think that that delusion quickly evaporated when she realized yet again she was in a supporting role.
Yeah.
Catherine is the lead. Catherine is the lead role. She's the star. I mean, remember it was Alexander McQueen again. You know, and again, this is like Meghan's idiocy. She wore a French design house as her wedding gown. You wear a British designer, you idiot.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, and
was
it's
such
like
an FU.
it's your second wedding. You know, the least you can do is wear a British designer.
And tone down the white, make it cream, make it
Yeah.
off white, you know? Um, but you know, when you looked at Catherine at Charles's coronation in that Alexander McQueen finery, she was like resplendent. And that if that had gone awry just like a hair, it could have easily veered into camp. And it
Right.
did not. She is the perfect person for that role. She really is, Catherine, and it drives Meghan nuts. And we have also talked about the theory that when she got inside those walls, she was making a beeline for William. She
Mhm.
thought she could maybe break up that marriage and herself become the future Queen of England. And, you know, he clocked her immediately, just as the Queen clocked her immediately. And I do think that the Queen's regret over what happened to her sister Margaret and her inability to marry Peter Townsend played a factor, as was Harry's advancing age, as was his loneliness, as was every blue blood female in London running the other way when it came time to do you want to lock this down? Would you like this life? And I don't really think it was royal life they didn't want. I think it was being hitched to this idiot that they
This
did not want, this
paranoid,
rageful.
who's
Hmm.
paranoid and angry. I mean, like, remember the videos and pictures of him like stumbling out of clubs,
Hmm.
trying to take swipes at paparazzi, and it's like, come on, you're stumbling out of a nightclub. If you don't want your picture taken, why don't you just hang out in your living room, a living room of one of your castles with a bunch of your friends and party. It was all very odd. Okay, let's stick to William and Catherine a little bit because uh, some headlines surrounding the royal reconciliation was William's snub, that William was snubbed throughout this process. Do you think that Prince William's team purposely excluded themselves? Or do you think that this was something that was happening behind his back? Also, somebody floated the concept to me that perhaps Prince William's team got word of the royal reconciliation meeting and were so appalled that they leaked it, which I love that idea, even though I think that I think our original intuition that Harry and Meghan are behind it is the more likely of all of the options. But I love the idea of someone from Williams team being like, you know what? We're going to nip this in the bud real quick. Get the Daily Mail on the phone.
That is such a hilarious theory, and I love it. But I can't subscribe to it because I do believe that William and Catherine are so done with them. I
Yes.
mean, there was a statement from William's camp today that he's done, and the quote was he effing hates Harry, hates him.
Yeah.
And I think they are taking the high road, they gray rock, they do not acknowledge, they do not, because to even do that is to engage,
Hmm.
right? To even leak that is to engage, and it's a very unhealthy thing to get involved in. I think the stupidity of this too was meeting in a place where long lens photographers could catch you.
Right.
Why are we not meeting in an underground bunker?
What did
Why are we
Princess
not?
Diana not teach us? The Princess Diana saga not teach us? Like, go, if you do not want to be seen, again, Prince Harry stumbling out of nightclubs. If you don't want to be seen, there are plenty of places in London where you can go and not be seen.
Exactly. Remember Club H, his
Yeah.
basement club, right?
Yeah. Oh
So,
gosh. Yes.
right, Club H. So, you know, it also it makes me wonder, you know, was there a subconscious part of King Charles that wanted this out there and wanted it to be known, or did he think if I can get this done quietly and get some sort of agreement made very quietly, then I will break the news to William, and he does not have to be a part of this, but as father to this wayward son, I have to be able to meet my maker, having made peace with my child, and seeing a grandchild I've never met. You know,
Right.
these are very poignant human impulses. Um, so yeah, no, but I think Meghan Markle was the on the phone.
there was one TMZ leak that was so clearly her years ago, right when they first moved here. I'll find it and I'll send it to you. I want to read that quote you mentioned because it's so good. It's from the Daily Beast. William's loathing for Harry runs deep. As one longtime friend of the Prince of Wales once bluntly put it to the Daily Beast, he absolutely effing hates Harry. Asked about speculation that William would have supported the meeting, the friend told the Daily Beast, William will never, ever forgive Harry for what he has done. Charles is the king. He can do what he likes, but make no mistake, William believes with every fiber of his being that giving Harry and Meghan back any royal endorsement is a huge mistake. It's true, you give them any sort of reconciliation or being seen with them or talking to them gives them this boost that they need again to sell their commercial
Hmm.
products. I mean, look at Meghan's products. They all have royal crests, royal looking crests, a gold calligraphy. She's selling basically British made in Illinois teas and the same sort of items that you can find within the Buckingham Palace and Highgrove guest gift shops. It's an endorsement. It's an endorsement that helps them financially, and I think that that's very astute for them to be aware of that. It's a real tug of war when it comes to my heart because yes, King Charles wants to see his son. I know that that's unfair of me to loathe that idea, but from Prince William's side, we talked about the rosé on Princess Diana's birthday. There's like
Hmm.
I feel like he thinks that she is relentless and greedy. And why give them that endorsement? Why give them anything that they can turn around and sell, even positive vibes?
It goes even to using the HRH, which they promised the late queen they would never do, and she made a condition of letting them go, uh, and Charles supporting them financially, um, for at least the first year that they were out of
Which we
their
didn't
working
know,
royals.
Maureen. Maureen, thank you for bringing that up because we did not know that. We just recently found that out within the last few months. Harry sat on Oprah Winfrey and was like, I've been cut off, which is so hard for us to digest watching a 40-year-old man talk about his allowance being taken away.
Well, he's not a man. He's a man-child. He's a baby. He's a toddler. He's always throwing, he's reactive. He's impulsive. The other thing that I think is, on all of Meghan's letterhead and all of this stuff, I think she also has a crown.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they have never once said, I'm sorry. They have never once taken responsibility for any of it, let alone the pain they caused Prince Philip on his deathbed, let alone the agony they caused the late queen in her remaining years, suffering we now know from blood cancer. They have never taken her name, her nickname, Lilibet. You know, these are really deep, deep, deep wounds
Betrayals.
that they have
Yeah.
caused.
Yeah.
Deep betrayals. How you could ever trust people like this again, you would be a fool to. You would be a fool to. And you know, I'm always asked by, British journalists and friends, do the Americans really loathe Harry and Meghan? Is it true? And I can only tell you that loathing grows deeper and wider with every single misstep they make in the media.
But is that why they are gunning for this reconciliation? Because if it looks like the British royal family, who have been the targets, forgive them, are we more likely to forgive them?
No, no, no. I think they're gunning for this reconciliation. And I hate to put it in these terms, but this is the way Meghan Markle thinks and her husband. They, I am sure they have no idea about King Charles's prognosis.
Mm-hmm.
Although Harry, in a recent interview, crudely said, I don't know how much time my father's got left. I mean,
I know. Oh my God.
so, but they know when William ascends to the throne, that is it for them.
Yeah.
That is it. They won't even have access to the VIP lounge at Heathrow. That's it. They're done. So if they don't get in with Charles now, it is over, well and truly.
Oh, that's a very good point. Yeah. I mean, I think speculation that they're broke and confused and don't know what direction they're going is also fair too. I mean, Harry is so lonely. I don't care how many surfing lessons he takes. If you're having to pay people to hang out with you,
Hmm.
that's not a great sign. I think he's
No.
lonely. I think he's lonely. I know I've said this before, but he's hanging around a bunch of women that are uh, uh, self-made, totally self-consumed. What does he talk about? What does he bring to that conversation in a room with, let's pretend that Gail King and Oprah have given Meghan a 5 minutes of their day. What kind of conversations are those like, and how can Harry contribute to them?
I don't think he can. I mean, have I told you this story? I have a good friend of many, many, many years who found himself, I have to sort of keep it vague, but at a private dinner with Harry and Meghan, and they were in a private room of a restaurant in America, and there were maybe six people at this table. Six people, definitely six people. It was three couples. And at one point, Meghan left with her friend to adjourn to the hotel. And so my friend and his partner were with Harry for hours. And long story short, the guy could not contribute to a conversation whatsoever. These were really, really smart, sophisticated, fun, and funny people. Oh, and this is a great anecdote. So my friend said before Meghan left, he was trying to make conversation with her, and this is not an unusual world for him to find himself in. So he's not. I say that to just say he's not a rube. He's not like, oh my God, you're Meghan Markle. I can't believe I'm sitting. He's not that. He says to her, oh, so you guys live in Montecito. You know, there's this great restaurant you should try. It's on the water and they catch the fish and they make the food right there and it's incredible. And she says, no, there's not. I don't know what you're talking about. And he says, no, I can promise you there is. My ex-husband is from that area and we visited often and we would go there all the time. It was our regular haunt. And she says to him, well, you know, Andre Balaj was just at our house last week and he said nothing about that.
So name dropping to just discredit this person. Oh God, oh my gosh. I'm so glad that I don't have to deal with her.
Can you imagine? I mean, I think Catherine and William are probably greatly relieved they don't have to, like, there was a news item here a couple of weeks ago that Catherine in particular really wants Meghan's, at least one of her ventures to become successful, because at least then she'll be busy and occupied with something else other than like slinging rockets over their way. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But no, I don't think either one of them can keep up a conversation of any interest or import.
Well, I look forward to staying on top of this royal reconciliation story with you because it's, there are reports that the king and Harry could potentially meet soon. Will someone leak what those conversations were like? Will Harry end up on Good Morning America the next day or 48 hours later rehashing? Because that's what he did after flying to see his father after it was announced that he was sick. Can you believe he went on TV to talk about? I mean, yes, you can. But this is a story that we're going to stay on top of because obviously it's fascinating and a pretty big development considering the fact that there's been no communication over the last few years. But your insight is my favorite. I couldn't wait to,
Oh,
I sent you the article the second I saw it because I couldn't wait to see what you said.
I know. I love it. I mean, this is such a major development in this ongoing family saga. And again, I think we all find it, whether you're a royal watcher or a monarchist or not, it is really astonishing to watch these dynamics play out. And it's something every human on the planet can relate to. And it's almost biblical, the severing of the brothers, it's almost biblical.
You've been all over this Meghan Markle stuff, and I'm sure you've seen in at least my comments underneath my Meghan toilet roll picture. Everybody's like, "We need your commentary," so that we're giving the people what they want today. And you've got plenty of Meghan commentary on the nerve as well.
I do. Excuse me, my phone, how rude. I'm turning it off right now.
Yeah, that's so
Um,
Meghan Markle of you.
I know, right? Power down. Like is that not a metaphor for all things Meghan? Just power down. So, here's the thing. You and I consider ourselves like the Justice League. The Saturday morning cartoons. There's an emergency happening, and we dropped everything to communicate. And by the way, just may I note, I'm wearing my Nashville t-shirt in effigy for the Kidman Urban Union.
Thank you.
So yeah, and I saw your post with Meghan with the toilet paper wrap, and I thought it was brilliant.
Thank you.
Very Andy Warhol of you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
we're going to talk all about Paris because that's what the people want. But can I just ask you, as I'm curling my eyelashes to see you a few
Mm-hmm.
minutes ago, it occurs to me, I'm so frustrated over this mental health award that they're accepting on Thursday. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, you say you've started this parenting network. They're accepting this award because they've started this parenting network
About online bullying,
about online
right?
bullying, right? And I'm thinking to myself, wouldn't it be so much more meaningful if you said, thank you for the opportunity, but we want to hand it over to these parents that had the courage to discuss the loss of their child, and give a platform to a courageous family that is willing to talk about the loss that they suffered in the form of their baby over online bullying. And then I start to think, well, why the hell would they do that? And then I go back to, do you remember this? Prince Harry having the audacity to accept that Pat Tillman Award.
Mm-hmm.
And
Even
I'm,
Pat Tillman's mother was like, I don't agree with this.
oh my God. And I had forgot. Everybody keeps saying, well, he accepted the Legend of Aviation's award and he couldn't even pass his test. And I'm like, yeah, but to me, the Pat Tillman Award there was so much more vulgarity in him hopping up on stage and gleefully accepting that award, knowing that Pat Tillman gave his freaking life and Harry couldn't even cut it as a member of the royal family. He quit his job.
If you side by side, do a side by side comparison of Pat Tillman versus Harry. Pat Tillman, for anyone who may be too young to know, was an American football star, NFL professional player, incredibly good looking, had everything going for him. 9/11 happens and he gives it all up to enlist in the military and is killed by friendly fire. Okay. The guy is an American hero. Harry takes his scrotum, hands it to Meghan, runs and scampers away from the evil royals, then whinges and moans for the next 10 years. He's been given everything on his silver platter. Now, to your original question, why wouldn't they just say, you know what, lovely honor, we'd be happy to attend and support, but really we would love it to see it go to a courageous couple or a parent who has spoken out about their child who died by as a result of online bullying. I mean, the answer is simple. You're asking them to do the right and decent thing. No such thing. Two very quick points. We're advocating for children and bullies. We know Meghan is a bully, allegedly, reportedly. Buckingham Palace has a file this thick on her. Number two, she sat front row at Balenciaga, a house who, as I discussed on The Nerve, just 2.5 years ago came under fire for an ad campaign that was absolutely bald-faced, shamelessly promoting. Thirdly, she sat in that front row, and there's a clip going viral right now of Meghan, who seems to be laughing in the front row as a model walking the Balenciaga show, tripped, and she turns to her companion to look at him for affirmation. Isn't this funny? We're laughing at the misfortune of another. And the guy sits there stone-faced. He won't even make eye contact with her. This woman is poison. I don't know when the culture at large or the elites are going to get the message, but hey, keep inviting her to your stuff. Do it.
Yeah. That was Marcus Anderson, who is, leadership in Soho
Soho
House.
House.
And I think that he knows how to behave, like act like you've been there before. Like
Exactly.
you don't giggle
Act
and
like you've been there before.
you don't giggle and cackle when somebody trips on a runway or, and it's almost like she registers it's not appropriate and she quickly turns around and you're just like, do you know how to function as a human being?
She's vile. What it shows, if that is indeed what happened, that a model tripped and she laughed at it, and openly laughed. She knows cameras are on her. I mean, this is the entire point of the trip. Cameras, cameras, cameras. She thinks it's funny. She thinks she takes joy in the misfortune of others. And if this isn't, and I'm going to extrapolate, but fairly, I think, if this isn't further proof, apparently, and I know we'll get to it, William is fuming over that stunt she pulled, filming herself driving past the tunnel where Diana died. But if this isn't further proof that this is a malignant narcissist, my opinion, who revels in the misfortune of others and should be kept away by all measure, I guarantee you she took joy in Catherine's illness. I guarantee you.
Oh my gosh. Well, so I had to unfollow somebody I've worked with in the past because they wrote some article saying that if any other royal would have taken that video, which by the way they don't, because they
They
don't feel the
wouldn't. They would
need
never.
they don't feel the need to document like their feet up on a seat. But if any other royal would do that, people would be like, "Ah, heart emoji." And I was like, "What a moron you are to defend this." This I she knew what she was doing, Maureen. You can't I mean, actually what was so funny to me was when I sent you the first the videos, because I screenshot like a creep. You're like, "How basic." And then I'm like, "No, she's by Diana's death scene." And then you were like, "She is sick." I mean, you're right, she's basic, but then you realize that this is more calculated than it
Mm-hmm.
appears to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly think it's because she thinks she is one step ahead of us all of the time. And it's like, no, we know exactly what you're doing. That's what you're doing is you you don't deserve the Duchess title is like the nicest way I can put it.
I just hope Williams, he's really it's a Sophie's choice because if he strips her and Harry of the titles, then it becomes more narrative, more fuel.
Yeah,
If he
but
can
then
just sort of,
she actually becomes a princess then, which is almost like, oh, I'd rather her be a
oh,
duchess than a
but the
princess.
Princess Henry, right?
Yes,
She would be
yeah.
it's not Princess Meghan, it would be the Princess Henry.
Well, Tyler Perry doesn't care. He's still going to call her Princess Meghan like he did on Twitter when it was her birthday.
The Diana death tunnel disaster tourism moment is so ghoulish and so vile. And she knows, and we have talked about the reporting that she exploited that mother wound in order to sink her nails into him. And wearing Diana's favorite perfume, their first date, all this really creepy stuff. um if he doesn't wake up to this, I mean, there is zero hope for him. I began to think he is waking up with that footage we both talked about last week of the two of them at Kevin Costner's 805 charity event, and he was on stage having his moment, and she apparently counter to what he told her, which is, "Don't come on stage," came on
Right.
stage.
Yeah.
And his back was to her, and she taps him like, "Here I am," and he like he's like, "What?" So I began to think, okay, are we waking up a little bit? Are we coming out of this years long coma?
Well, yeah, we'll have to in a second. I want to predict how we think they're going to act in New York because that's one of the first things I said to you. Like, I'm curious to see how their body language will be in New York based on this trip because I feel like she was insensitive to Harry's feelings. And I saw some people in the comments that were like, Kinsey, wake up. Harry's not a victim. He's not a victim. But you know what I would say? And I'm not a professional. I don't think he's mentally stable either. So I do think that,
Agreed.
like,
Agreed. As I said to you, who better to get an award about mental health and humanitarianism than these two, the gruesome twosome themselves?
right, right. Okay. This is kind of a question that's beneath us, but I have to ask, I just couldn't do this. Okay.
Please.
Why did she post multiple photos of her and her friends with their feet on the seats in the car? Are they trying to look relatable? Because to me, it just looks rude.
Hmm.
Germs are
Hmm.
on the sidewalk,
Hmm.
especially in Paris. Okay.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
don't want that on the butt of my pretty dress, my nice dress, if I'm the next person to rent this minivan. I just, I couldn't understand. She tries to tell us she wants us to refer to her as her title. She's constantly telling us that she is, she's wearing $300,000 worth of jewelry. The feet on the freaking seat. It's low class.
She's utterly classless. She's utterly classless. And it's always those people who have to make a big show. I mean, it runs right counter to her Netflix enterprise in which she's the hostess of Nonpareil and how to do things. That is a private driver's car. That car belongs to somebody, whether it's an individual or a corporation. You don't put your feet up. I wouldn't do it in an Uber that
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? I I
No.
I don't do it. It's I think part of it is like I actually don't think it's about proving you're relatable. It's look at me. Because first
Mm.
of all, she's wearing Hermes mules that cost, at least $1,000. So as you said, everything is deliberate. I think that we've got the other feet up because she's proving she has friends. Those are paid
Paid.
hair and makeup
Yeah.
people. I guarantee you.
Yeah, it's Daniel. I mean, it's Daniel.
Daniel needs to get the effing memo. I saw him go online and he's like, we just had such a win in Paris. And I'm just going to walk you through all of the makeup I used on Megan and what I did and how I did it. And, for beginning, I used my usual skin prep and I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
I'm scrolling past Daniel.
Right.
Daniel, she humiliated you.
Mm. Well,
Season
everybody was
one,
talking
part
about
A.
the lack of orange. So we do thank Daniel for chilling out when it comes to the bronzer, but maybe that was like with the 5150 dress, maybe that was a necessity to chill out on the bronzer because she didn't want to get any stains on it or
I
something.
agree. She looks ridiculous. So my favorite, when I talked about it on the Nerve the other day, is like her exiting the hotel, right? And the paparazzi's lined up in there. I think they're trolling her. They're like, Megan, beautiful as ever. I think they're trolling her. And she's got like her jaw, I call it like the dislocated jaw. It's just come unhinged. And we're doing our best 90s supermodel face. Like Kate Moss would never. Okay,
No.
Kate Moss is my queen. She's
Yeah.
stumbling around Paris Fashion Week drunk in like designer jeans and looking amazing, But like, this one, it's like her best Zoolander, her best Blue Steel, the slow walk. And I honestly wonder if the house is trolling her because what they put her in, she's a small person and she is swallowed up by the like this swaths of like messianic fabric, it's like Jesus Christ himself walking, from like hotel to like SUV. And you notice in that one reel where she like stops before she clambers inside that SUV, no doubt to put her filthy feet up, and she turns ever so. Have you gotten
Yeah.
me? Have you
Did you
gotten
get
all of
what you
this?
want?
Have
Yeah.
you gotten this masterpiece?
That's what kills me. Like, cause Harry says the UK is not safe for him to bring his wife and children, but she goes to the same city where his mother loses her life and engages voluntarily with the paparazzi who Harry single-handedly blames for his mother's death.
Without royal protection. Again,
Right.
all of those symmetries with Diana. Now, the one thing I will say she did not do, and I doubt it was for lack of trying, because as Rob Shooter broke it down masterfully over on the Nerve the other day, she didn't pay for any of this. Balenciaga paid for all of it, including the airfare, the hotel, what have you. She stayed, I believe, at the Plaza Athénée. She did not stay at the Ritz, where Diana spent the last days of her life. And I guarantee you, she would have been on the phone going, what suite was she in? Book me in
Mm-hmm.
it.
I want to be there. Yeah, it's funny you talk about that mouth because I wish I could remember the photographer's name, but I worked on a set with a Playboy photographer. And I remember he kept telling, it was like a happy girl. And he kept telling the girl, no smile, slightly open mouth, because
Sexy baby pose. So
yeah, he was
creepy.
trying to like he wanted a sexy face. So he kept saying, no smile, slightly open mouth. And I kept seeing her do that and then sucking in her cheeks,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
while walking around talking to people. And I was like, you look ridiculous. Do you have any idea what you look like? Do you function in the real world like a normal person?
The double air kissing, like we're European, you know,
Oh my
to all of
gosh.
these strangers. The design it was the designer Balenciaga who she almost like crashed her head into while
Well,
attempting to like.
yes, I'm glad you brought that up because so I did a big breakdown of why I think the Kardashians have now officially entered the chat because of their relationship with Balenciaga and how there is really no connection to this new creative director and Meghan Markle. And I feel like that video of them awkwardly assaulting each other's
Mm-hmm.
faces
Mm-hmm.
is proof that there's no relationship there. Now,
100%.
Us Weekly, of course, to the rescue, writes an article after my video's up saying, here's why Meghan Markle was at the Balenciaga show. And they say
Hi,
Meghan Markle.
Megan.
Yeah.
Hi.
And they're like, Meghan Markle is friends with the creative director. The man does not follow her on Instagram. If she's some little muse for this new creative director, he'd watch her every moment. He'd want to follow her on Instagram. He doesn't follow
Hmm.
any Meghan related accounts.
Hmm.
And you could tell by that interaction that they weren't familiar with each other.
Not at all. Not even a passing acquaintanceship. They haven't even exchanged DMs ever. And it's remarkable too because I also loved Kristen Scott Thomas, the elegant Kristen Scott Thomas, just completely blanking Meghan as she tried to insert herself into a conversation that Kristen was having with somebody else. And we know Kristen is famously pro monarchy. And I believe was most recently, you would know better than I, she was invited to something, a very high level event with the
Well,
royals,
she played the queen too
with the
on
Queen's blessing.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I love her in the movie called Life is a House with Kevin Kline. Have you ever watched that?
Never seen it.
Oh my gosh, Hayden Christensen is so sweet in that. I named my goldfish after him, just so you
After
know.
Hayden?
Yeah, meaningful. It was called Sam after his
Well,
character in
where's
Life is a
Val
House.
Kilmer in your house?
This was, I mean, I'm 13, I think, of it, maybe
Oh, okay,
14 at the
okay,
time,
okay.
but Val
Okay.
Kilmer had not
I
entered
thought
the
you
chat
meant
yet.
circa now.
No, 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 no.
Okay.
But yeah, no, in that, go back and watch that interaction if you're watching this, because that's when Megan's cheeks get real deep. And I'm like, what is she, did she swallow a lifesaver? Like, is it's like it is
Yeah.
so weird to witness. I mean, the walk, I peed my pants when I read somebody say she looks like she just had a hip replaced. The way
So
she's just
funny.
like, what? I just, and then I was really annoyed with some of the commentary saying Megan's back at Fashion Week.
She never
She went to
went.
Toronto fashion. And no offense to Toronto. I know
No
I keep saying
offense.
no offense to Toronto, but Megan crawling into Toronto Fashion Week is not the same as somebody at Balenciaga having little sense and going, this seems like an interesting PR stunt.
And again, no sense on Meghan Markle's part to go, you know what? My debut at a major fashion week, be it Paris, New York, Milan, London, the only ones that matter, should not be at a house that most recently weathered a crisis.
Yeah.
That should not be it. But, cameras are cameras, attention is attention. And as you were talking about the walks, you got to imagine Megan in the weeks leading up to this most momentous event for her,
While listening to
practicing
Duolingo.
her
While listening
best
to Duolingo.
while listening to Duolingo, because we're relearning French. We're not learning it, right? And we heard no French uttered, by the way, on any of these reels, right? So she's a liar, my opinion. But you gotta imagine her practicing her best catwalk in the Montecito mansion, back and forth and in varying heel heights, and having her paid minions tell her, "Oh, you're looking amazing." Like, it had to be epic levels of delulu over there.
Oh my gosh. We need our insider. We need our this is a call out to our insider. Yeah, because when I had this conversation about Paris, then over to New York, one of my friends is like, when does she see her children? And I was like, why would she need to? She's got 50 nannies on call.
Right? Right. I
Like,
mean, the children, Kinsey, what are you talking about?
I know.
They're over there somewhere. They're being attended to. They get fed, they go to school, whatever. When we're not reading to them, like at night, we again, uh, I'm dying for the awards in New York. I cannot wait for those to take place. I cannot wait to hear the speeches I am sure we are going to get. When I was 11, I wrote a letter to a dish soap company. I'm
I know.
sure we are going to get that.
And Tom Bauer, just reiterating again. Oh, I talked to him last week. He's like, that story is not true. She
Right,
completely made that up.
right. It was a class project.
Yeah. Well, and he said that like there was no back and forth. Like he said Thomas Markle admitted to him that he had lied to Meghan a little bit to make her feel special. And I'm like, well, that explains a lot of what we're dealing with today, Thomas Markle Sr. Okay.
He unleashed this monster onto the world. She's never leaving. Like, she won't leave. Like, You know, you would think that lack of exchange with a Kristen Scott Thomas would be a humbling, humiliating moment for her, where she might take stock. No, no, no. We just move on to the next target. You know, it's trash in that front row. She was seated next to Tracy Ellis Ross, a Nepo baby, a dum dum, whose most recent project was a three-part Hulu travel series in which Tracy boasted about being an intrepid female solo traveler, and she goes to these foreign lands and she never leaves her five-star hotels ever,
Oh my
ever.
gosh.
The
If
the
only
the
Megan would do that to us. Don't leave the
if only
hotel.
Megan would go like lock herself away somewhere, but no. And also Tracy's trash because she body brushes in public.
It's so
So
gross.
it's disgusting, but
Well, then
they're
they're
both
perfect
sitting
for each
there
other.
like the
Yeah.
height of high fashion and chicness and aspirational qualities, and they're both such lowlifes.
Megan's got her feet on the seat, getting her germy feet on the seat, and
Hmm.
then Tracy's just like exfoliating in public. And God knows we have her in our in
Our
our
dust
lungs now.
mites.
One thing I would ask you, I want to move on to to Thursday before I have to let you go, but there is a weird confidence shift with Megan. 805 Live, she feels a little timid. Paris, I mean, I don't know if she took some courage pills or what happens over there. But also, it's like so ironic to think about Harry saying the UK is not safe enough for Meghan Markle, but like Kim Kardashian had like an invasion in Paris and at Fashion Week, and Harry's like, "Sure, girl, go."
He
Um,
can never again make that argument ever.
yeah.
None
Well,
of us want to hear
hold
it.
on.
None of us.
We're not
Okay.
done. Hold on.
Okay.
And so, but what do you think? Do you think she is just a chameleon and she tries to get a sense of what's appropriate and her radar is just totally off? Or do you think she's just an actress? Because I think she was feeling herself this weekend and I was like, oh my God, but you shouldn't be.
I know. That's the amazing thing. I think both things are true. I think she's a malignant narcissist and an actress. Most malignant narcissists are. They are so consumed with themselves that they cannot read other people. They don't read micro expressions and social cues, and nor do they care to,
Ooh.
you know? So you get what you get when you invite a Meghan Markle anywhere.
Okay, so headlines start exploding about Megan's feet on the seat, passing Diana's death scene, how she's at Balenciaga, and the internet doesn't forget Balenciaga is just littered with predatory behavior.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden, Prince Harry drops to one of his favorite outlets in the UK that he was approached by a stalker not once, but twice the last time he was there when he had his big reunion with his dad. And I think there are two things probably going on. I think he is still desperate for government funded security. So he's trying to garner sympathy from the public by saying, oh, my stalker approached me twice while I was there last time. But B, I definitely think he was trying to distract from the negative Meghan Markle headlines that were starting to circulate because of her behavior in Paris. Do you have an opinion hearing that all of a sudden Harry sources are talking to a UK publication that they're known to work for saying, poor Harry, this is proof he needs government assistance. This is proof his security should be given back to him. This stalker approached him twice while he was there last time. Also, best part is palace sources said, then stay in California.
Exactly. Problem solved.
Yeah.
Problem solved. It's funny you mentioned that story because I saw those headlines and I didn't even click on a single one because
Mm,
I don't believe it.
yeah.
I actually don't believe anything these two have to say anymore. I don't.
That's the problem is because everything they say is so vague. Everything they
And
say,
everything's histrionic. Like everything's to quote Spinal Tap, everything's at 11. They're never
mm,
at like a 4. You know, it's
right.
always an emergency. It's exhausting.
Well, the best part of that story is actually that the internet believes it's one of their fans. Or my thought process is if it really is this fan that the internet thinks it is, then how will their fans react to being accused of stalking them?
They have fans? How many do you think? It's
There's the
got to be
line.
single
There's the line
digits,
of the
right?
day. Before I let you go,
It's
go
yeah.
ahead.
No, no, no. Go ahead. That's it. That's it. That's the thought.
Yeah, I mean it's a good thought. It's constructive. So, what are your thoughts or predictions for Thursday based on how I think Paris was a you know what show? Do you think that she will have the claw out? Do you think she'll be hanging all over him? I mean, she's just proven that she feels safe out in public alone. So the whole claw thing doesn't, I don't understand that now. Or will we sense a distance because he might be a little turned off by her behavior in Paris?
I'm thinking this through because, when you brought up the stalker story as a potential diversionary tactic, I literally thought, why is he trying to protect her? She just did something unforgivable
Mm-hmm.
to him and the memory of his mother. If it really means anything, Harry, then that's unforgivable. And we're leaving. We're taking our things and we're leaving finally. Um, and we're sending in SEAL Team 6 to find the genitals uh, that Meghan has absconded with. Now, last time those two were in New York City, we had, remember, the story of the breathless paparazzi chase.
Well, together, but the last time Meghan went to Broadway with a 4-car convoy to see Gypsy.
Right. Presidents go to Broadway with a lot less
Mm-hmm.
in the way of security. So I think we are going to have to come up with another spectacular tall tale in which their very lives, this is their kink. They
Yeah.
love when they talk about their lives being in jeopardy by nefarious forces that are out to get them and nobody else can see what they see. But because it makes them feel really important, this is not the way people who are being targeted behave, by the way.
Right.
It's not the
Right.
way they behave. So again, we know it's all a lie. And it's very sick and it's very sad. And, these organizations who think that any publicity is good publicity, be careful what you wish for. This is going to be yet another laughing stock.
That's so true. Well, I had talking about how messed up that Paris trip was. I talked to Sally Bedell Smith, and she was explaining how paranoid Diana was of rejection and of abandonment because
Hmm.
her mom left so early.
Hmm.
And we were saying Prince Harry has clearly adopted this, and because he's constantly talking about the abandonment he felt losing his mom so early and then not having his dad there in the form that he wanted
Hmm.
him there. And I just imagine that Prince Harry constantly lives in fear, and Meghan Markle gets her way every single time because he is so fearful of losing her the way he's lost everyone else he cares about. And by the way, 50% of that is consequences of his own actions. William
100%.
doesn't talk to him anymore because of his own behavior.
That's right.
But I imagine that she gets away with murder in that house because he's so afraid of losing her.
Well, she successfully did the thing that I would consider this abuse. That is my opinion. She did the thing that abusers successfully do, which is isolate their victim. She has cut him off from his entire family of origin, from his reason for being, the thing that gave his life purpose and dimension. His old friends, by all accounts, are gone. We saw that again, we need security. To my mind, we looked very hungover, wandering around London, ringing doorbells, trying to find friends who had since moved on years ago and never sent their forwarding address to Montecito. Wonder why. Um, I have seen dynamics like this play out in my own life. And what does typically happen, it can take years, but eventually the spouse that would be the Harry in this scenario does get to the point where they simply cannot live with it anymore. They cannot abide it, and they
Wow.
do leave. And it doesn't matter whether they have anyone or anything really to go to, because nothing is better than dealing with that.
Mm.
So I truly think it's a matter of time.
All right. Last but not least, the canning promo photo. Meghan Markle is canning in a kitchen and she's using the utensil, the tongs, upside down.
Hmm.
This is a photo that they've taken to brand her as an expert in this space. She wants us to buy
Hmm.
her loose fruit spread. I mean,
Slimy
like
Jam. Kinsey, give
slimy
yourself
jam.
credit.
I mean, is this just not the perfect example of Meghan Markle as a whole?
So this is what I think is so great about this, because I saw this in my algorithm,
No, I
and
sent it to you.
Sorry. Okay, you sent it to me.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
My mistake. Thank you for correcting me. Um, what is amazing to me is that the internet, uh, by which I mean the world, will not let a single error go unnoticed by one Meghan Markle. Because I think, oh, this is minutia, right? Like she doesn't really know what she's doing. Okay, we all know she doesn't know what she's doing in the kitchen. We know that. But it's like nobody will let her get away with a single thing, no matter how tiny. She doesn't know what she's doing when she's trying to can stuff and she's got the utensil upside down or whatever. And it's just the metaphor. She literally cannot do anything right. If she has one gripe that I will give credence to, it's that, yeah, we're all over her. Like the
Yeah.
world will not give her an inch because it's deserved. It's deserved. She's that insufferable.
Well, also, she started it by pointing out everything she didn't like about the royal family, by pointing out everybody else's issues, by by basically trying to school us on how this institution is racist, yada yada yada. Then we start to go like, but wait, your porch isn't that clean either. You know, who are you to stand in judgment of these people? You just got here. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. And I wanted to mention this to you, and I'm glad I remembered. Uh, I think a day or two after Harry once again made his lament again, that the men in gray suits have betrayed him with, details of the meeting with King Charles. A day or two later, Catherine, Princess of Wales, stepped out in an impeccably tailored men's tailoring gray suit.
I think
And I just thought,
everyone did that week. Everyone did that week that worked in the royal family.
chef's kiss.
It's so funny.
Brilliant.
It's so funny. All right. Well, agree with us, disagree with us. Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend, Maureen Callahan. Everybody has to go subscribe to The Nerve if you haven't, but I have a feeling that you do because you all love Maureen here so much. Thanks so much for your time today and for that beautiful Paris recap.
It was very cathartic, and I will see you on the backside of New York City next week on The Nerve. I can't wait.
Oh my
Thanks,
gosh.
Kinsey.
I cannot wait either. What do you think she's going to wear this time? A plunger?
Well, she's definitely going to have to buy the clothes, right? Like
I
she's
don't
going to have
know.
to purchase the clothes. And are we wearing all solids? Are we, you know what? She's not. She's going to
She's going to wear
dress.
muted colors, that's for sure. I love the
I
way
don't, I
she's
disagree.
still showing the British royal family. You don't think so?
Mm-mm. Because she's a ghoul. Okay, so we're going to an event about online bullying that results in teenage and childhood. So I'm gonna guess we're gonna go with red.
Oh my gosh, that would be
She's a
totally
ghoul.
tacky. Wait, really quickly, I forgot to ask you this. Is there longevity in this Balenciaga relationship? Were we being introduced to something here, or was this a PR stunt? What's your vibe? I think there could be longevity because I think neither has morals or values.
I think that the accountants and the bookkeepers are going to take a look at it. There's a reason that Meghan Markle has never landed a major deal with a top tier fashion house. There is a
There's a
reason.
reason why Dior comes out and tells Women's Wear Daily, we are not courting Meghan Markle when those stories.
Despite reports that somehow emerged that Dior was desperate to get
Yeah.
one, would they be able to land her? And
Yeah.
we all, you and I knew, and everybody who's hip to this knows she made it up.
Well,
She's trying to manifest her
the best
shit.
part was when they went and hired the girl that played Kate Middleton on The Crown.
Forgot about that.
Thanks so much for watching one of my favorite best of compilations here in 2025. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Again, happy holidays, happy new year, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend.